Here's your morning news summary. War situation. Moscow. German drive into Smolensk area admitted. Berlin. Claim Nazis defeat Russians 110 miles west of Moscow. London. Russians can fight on from Urals, envoy declares. Helsingfors. Report Tallinn, Estonia falls to Germans. London. 2 Belgian flyers find old plane escape to Britain. Tokyo. Japan seeks new premier in war soon. Ankara. Nazis reported seeking path to Russia through Turkey. Tobruk. Writer tells of life amid unending rain of bombs. Local Chicago news. Parolee killer of woman captured at Belleville. Bank bookkeeper caught admits stealing $307,000. Make or break decision in Moriarty case today. Caldwell Union terror bared Courtney axe. Science to tune in on crunch of termites' jaws. Washington. Colorful ceremony arranged for new draft lottery tonight. Roosevelt asks for broader power to seize property. Toby compares Roosevelt and Knox pledges with performances. Army shakeup hits generals, many get new commands. Domestic. Value of flivver planes to Army proved in desert test. Green signs 65 bills, vetoes 5, no action on bookie bill. Sports. Cubs whip Phils 9-5. Boston beats Sox 2-1. Proud one gives Calumet farm victory at Arlington. War Relic wins $50,000 Massachusetts handicap. DiMaggio hits in 56th game. Yanks beat Indians. Cards beat Dodgers 7-4. Trail by 3 games. Commerce and Finance. Power Commission urges plants costing $1 billion. New aluminum for civilian use exhausted, says OPM. Indictment charges rails aided shippers through grants and credits. Britain gaining supremacy in the air, experts assert. Grain storage space dwindling rapidly, officials meet today. Large demand continues for auto output beyond 41 model year. Profit cashing stems advance in stock market. Good evening and welcome to July 17th and July 18th, 1941, a Thursday and a Friday. My name is Henry Chop, your host. And tonight we are going to listen to some old-time radio and watch a movie serial. The old-time radio programs that we have tonight are The Goldbergs, Vic and Sade, Speaking of Liberty, Famous Fathers, The Adventures of Superman, The Lone Ranger, and Double or Nothing. The movie serial we have is Chapter 1 in Holt of the Secret Service. I will go into a little bit more details about these programs in just a little bit. If you enjoy the content of this channel, not only subscribe, but please donate to its upkeep. Because of the vintage radio, music, and films that we share, this channel does not qualify for YouTube monetization. Help motivate us to consistently post this wonderful content. We like to think that this channel is more interesting and entertaining than any other World War II channel on YouTube. Help us keep going by donating. In the expanded description section to this video, you will find 2 links for which to donate. One is for PayPal and the other is for a GoFundMe. If the GoFundMe link is outdated on this video, go to this channel's description or our latest video where you will find an updated link. Any little bit helps. If you love old-time radio, film, and music, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click on the bell icon to get notifications as to when a new upload will premiere. If you are interested in World War II as much as I am, check out our other channel, the World War II newspaper channel. Expand the description section to this video and you will see a link that will take you there. Now I'd suggest listening to the latest upload to decide if it's your thing. Over there, you will hear the Chicago Tribune read to you for between 90 minutes to 2 hours. You will get a much more detailed look about what it was like to actually live through World War II than I can give you just by sharing radio broadcasts. You will not only hear detailed news of the big battles and historical events, you will hear trivial facts about the war. You will hear news from the United States home front from the early stages of U.S. mobilization and war protests to Pearl Harbor and the ramping up of the war machine to the final victories and reconversion. You will hear every facet of American life change forever. Well, we are going to start things off tonight with The Goldbergs. That aired at 2:30 in the afternoon, Chicago time, over CBS. Then following The Goldbergs, we're going to tune the dial over a few notches to the NBC Red Network. And at 2:45, it's Vic and Sade. The Goldbergs, we have a date on it, July 17th. The Vic and Sade program does not have a specific date. It is just simply dated 1941. And then following Vic and Sade, we have Speaking of Liberty. It was kind of a lecture program, a current events lecture program. And the speaker on tonight's show is Crowle. And then we will have the Holt of the Secret Service serial right after Speaking of Liberty. And then following Holt, we will have a syndicated program once again, Famous Fathers. I don't know a whole heck of a lot about this series. I wasn't able to look up a lot, but I do think it was syndicated. I am about 90% sure this is not an audition program because they mention that one of the cast members is absent and there's somebody else taking his place for the time being, which to me tells me that you would be expecting somebody else on this program. So there were probably a few other shows of this, out there somewhere, but I do not have them. So we have Famous Fathers. And this episode is titled Fathers of the Household, and this does not have a specific date, just 1941. I just threw it in with the summer months because we have a lack of programming in the summertime, as you have been able to tell in recent weeks. And then following Famous Fathers, we have The Adventures of Superman, continuing that syndicated serial. And that I did not see that in the Chicago radio listings, so I don't know if it was on in Chicago. It could have been on a small station. Many times small stations would pick up on these syndicated shows because it was within their budget. And then following The Adventures of Superman, it's The Lone Ranger, 7:30 in the evening over Mutual. And this episode is titled Gold is Where You Find It. And then we're going to stay on Mutual. At 8:30 in the evening, we have Double or Nothing, hosted by Walter Compton. Double or Nothing came on the air in 1940, and it stayed on until the 1950s, I believe. This is a much easier quiz program than Information Please. And it's interesting how they did this. The first thing they do is they give you a topic, and you have to talk about that topic for a certain number of times, and they give you depending on how factual and how entertaining your answer is to this, is the amount of, each point you make is the amount of money that you get. And then you can double it with the next question, or you end up with the original $5 that you started with. They give you $5 to start. Ooh, lots of money. These days, $5 can't even buy you a value meal at a fast food place. But back then, you know what? It was probably a couple days worth of, for the common man, it was probably at least a day's pay, I suppose, $5. Boy, times have changed. And that is how we are going to close it out tonight. So without any further talking from me, let's turn on this old tube radio. That's our time machine. And give this stuff a listen and a view when we get to Holt of the Secret Service.
And now, the Goldbergs. Out of the wreckage of the marriage that never happened. Out of the strain and stress of Sammy Goldberg's life. Out of the tangle of interests that surround Sylvia and Sammy. A little order is appearing. And the hand that's working it is that of Dr. Christopher Cater, psychologist and psychoanalyst. The signs are big and the signs are small. Sylvia is no longer anxious to marry Sammy, and Sammy has accepted it. But now, Sylvia feels that she's in love with the doctor. And yesterday, her father heard from Sammy the words which we first heard from Christopher Cater, that he, Mr. Allison, was to blame for everything. The question is why, and the answer is being prepared early this summer morning. Listen.
Hello? 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 trying to get somebody on the phone?
Yes, Dr. Cater.
Well, let me try for you, because sometimes the operator is a little
Please.
negligible.
Thank you.
Hello? Hello, operator? We're trying to get Dr. Cater. Yes, Dr. Cater Jr.
Ask him if I can come over to see him.
I will, Miss Patterson. But don't sit down. Hello? Hello, Dr. Cater? This is Mrs. Goldberg. Morning. Very well, thank you. Mr. Allison wishes to come over to see you, if possible. Yes. Uh-huh. Just 1 minute, please. Dr. Cater says he'll be in any time you call.
Well, tell him I'll be right over.
Yes. Hello? Dr. Cater, Mr. Allison will be over immediately almost. Yes. Thank you. But with Sylvia, just 1 minute. With Sylvia?
No, alone.
Alone. Hello, Dr. Cater? No, Miss Allison will come alone. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. Bye. Anytime you go over, he'll be present. Are you all right, Miss Allison?
No, I'm not all right.
Did Sammy say something?
Plenty.
Is that why you're going over to Dr. Cater?
Yes. I have to go over to him before I leave.
Oh, you're leaving?
How much longer can I stay?
Sylvia also?
That I don't know. If I have to go alone, I'll go alone.
Miss Allison, listen to me. Whatever Dr. Cater says, do. Do, no matter how foolish it sounds, no matter how unimportant, because people like us can't tell what's foolish or unimportant when it comes to things like this. For us, what we like is important and what we don't like is foolish, and never the twain shall meet. So go, Mr. Allison, and learn the way we all have to, because after all, what's a mystery? A mystery is only something that we're, how shall I say it? A mystery is only something that we're ignorant of. That's all.
And as Ellison puts on his hat and walks soberly down the country road to the house of Christopher Cater's father, the old country doctor is having breakfast with his son. Two eras in medicine face each other across the pancakes, syrup, and coffee. And yet, those eras are connected in the way the faces, the gestures, hands of father and son are related. You can see the traces of the father in the son, and the devotion to truth, the humility in face of the mysteries of sheer living. The wonder of it are present in the older and newer branches of the science. There's no mumbo-jumbo here, no posing and big talk. Only the simple desire to know, to understand, and to help. But meanwhile, the pancakes go down in stacks.
Will you pass the syrup, Dad, please?
Yeah. Yeah, leave some for me.
I promise. More coffee?
Please.
There you are.
Thank you.
That's
So
all.
Mr. Allison's finally coming over,
Yes?
Surprise.
No.
Don't let these minor triumphs go to your head, Chris. Be surprised.
Oh, I can't afford to be. Mr. Allison isn't any different from the rest of us. If I were in his shoes, I'd have been here days ago. He's slow.
And how's his pretty daughter, Sylvia?
She told me she was in love with me.
Oh,
Makes the whole world brighter.
pass the syrup.
Oh, yes, I promised, didn't I?
And Sammy? Thanks.
I want to apologize about Sammy.
And to me also?
To you also. Sammy can face the truth with the best of us.
Can you?
What's that?
Can you?
What truth?
You're not becoming a patient yourself when it comes to Sylvia, are you?
Oh. Not yet.
Sure.
Half sure.
Does that satisfy you?
Half and half.
Does this go on with every young woman patient you have?
No.
Oh.
Oh, I like Sylvia, but she's in no state to go out into the world yet. She has to relive her youth first. And there's no room in that for anyone but her father and herself. You see, Dad, Sylvia has begun living at the wrong end of the road. I'm going to transport her back, through her father and with him.
And then?
Then I'll go back to the city after having spent the nicest vacation in the world.
I suppose Glastonbury is too slow for you.
Well, no, it's not too slow, Dad, but my business is psychology, and the material isn't here.
Oh,
In large enough groupings, I mean.
don't be too sure.
What do you mean?
That's Mr. Allison.
What do you mean?
Well, that's my secret, Chris. But first go ahead and finish the business at hand.
Well, all right, but I wish you'd...
And I'll finish your pancakes, if you don't mind.
Like son, like father. Come in, Mr. Allison.
Thank you.
In this way, please.
Thank you.
Now, will you please sit down?
Thanks. I want to apologize for my behavior at our first meeting.
It's quite all right.
I'm willing to do anything you say.
Will you have a cigarette?
Thank you.
Oh, well, here, never mind, I have it. There we are. And now, Mr. Allison, I'll tell you why I wanted to see you.
Yes, Dr. Cater?
But the main purpose which I undertook with your daughter and Sammy Goldberg is, I think, accomplished. We've burst what was joined. There will be no marriage. For the only reason that really means anything. Sammy and Sylvia don't want to marry each other. And Sammy Goldberg's out of the wasteland, I think. Back on solid ground where he belongs. There remains your daughter and yourself.
Am I to be a patient, too?
No. No, you're to help me with my patient. Since you have the secret of Sylvia's past locked up somewhere in your memory.
That I still can't believe.
We'll see. When did your wife die?
Some months after Sylvia was born. The birth was too much for her. She wasted away.
Mm-hmm. And you brought the children up yourself?
Yes.
You were a young man, more or less, Mr. Allison. Didn't you ever think of remarrying? Didn't you?
I did, yes.
What happened?
It wasn't possible.
Why not?
It couldn't be.
Weren't you in love?
I was.
Mm-hmm. And this other woman?
She wanted to marry me.
Well?
It wasn't possible.
But tell me why. Tell me, Mr. Allison, what happened. And what has Sylvia got to do with it? Tell me. Don't try to hide it.
A flash of remembered anguish touches Mr. Allison's face. He stares at the ceiling, the wall, and the floor. And patiently, Christopher Cater waits for the story that may hold the secret of Sylvia Allison's trouble.
Stay tuned next for Vic and Sade.
Well, sir, it's early evening as we approach the small house halfway up the next block now. And here on the front porch, we find Mr. and Mrs. Victor Cook, their son, Mr. Rush Cook, and Sade's amiable Uncle Fletcher. Uncle Fletcher has the floor at the moment, and we hear him describing his recent visit in Dixon.
We had wonderful traveling weather all the way there. I mean by wonderful traveling weather, the sun was behind a cloud all the time. I don't like riding on a train when it's sunshiny outdoors. Too much glare. The conductor was a fellow going under the name of Cunningham. He punched my ticket right off the bat.
Did you give him something to eat?
How's that, Sadie?
Who was me talking, Uncle Fletcher?
Fine. Yes, I've made that a lifelong practice throughout my years of traveling around the country. I invariably slip the conductor on the train something to nibble on. Puts him in a good humor every time. An orange or a banana or a coconut cookie will fetch any conductor on the line. He'll stand by your seat and chat with you. Conductors, as a general rule, scoot up and down the aisle in a big hurry. But offer him some little dainty that caters to his sweet tooth, and he'll give you all the railroad statistics and information you want, and even let you wear his cap.
You must remember that when you go on your inspection tour next month.
Will. The conductor on the train coming home was a fella under the name of McClellan. First-rate fella. He punched my ticket without an instant's hesitation.
Uh-huh.
come along the aisle and punched my ticket without an instant's hesitation.
What'd you give him to nibble on?
I give him a chocolate cupcake, Sadie.
Oh?
Son of a gun wasn't going to take it at first. I'm on duty, he says, but I egged him onto it. Finally, he ate that cupcake and half of another one. Oh, it'll work out every trip. Just slip the conductor some little dainty that caters to his sweet tooth, and you'll forget he's in a hurry and stand by your chair and tell you whether the train's on time or not, or anything else you want to know. Sure.
Did you see lots of old friends in Dixon, Uncle Fletcher?
Yes. I saw Cooney Miller, Art Sykes, Bert Adams, Cliff Dirtshirt, and his brother Charlie. Whole outfit. Cliff Dirtshirt, by the way, Sadie, is leaving Dixon the 1st of October.
Oh, is he?
You know Cliff pretty well, I expect.
No, to tell the actual truth, I don't know him at all.
He asked about you folks, too.
Nice of him.
Cliff Dirtshirt is moving to Baltimore, Delaware, the 1st of October.
Oh?
When he gets to Baltimore, Delaware, he plans on marrying a woman 31 years old, going into the live bait business, and taking in piano pupils as a sideline. Ever hear Cliff Dirtshirt whip off a selection of the piano, Sadie?
No, I never did.
The interesting thing, how Cliff got started on the piano. Cooney Miller let the cat out the bag. It's supposed to be a big secret how Cliff got started on the piano. But Cooney Miller slipped me the information on the sly.
Swilly Clark's Uncle Fat can reduce himself to a squirming hulk of convulsive laughter by remembering the time
Uncle Fletcher's telling something, Rush.
Oh.
It's rich how Cliff Dirtshirt got started on the piano.
Well, let us in on it.
Well, late in the fall of 1932, Cliff was working there on the railroad section gang, and it come up an early snow. Well, that was all right. Cliff never gave it a second thought, but went right ahead on driving Spikes. But the straw boss, a fellow going under the name of Davidson, lost his temper.
Lost his temper because it snowed?
No, Nick.
Why did he lose his temper?
That's right, Nick.
I'm at a loss.
Well, let him tell what he's telling.
This straw boss Davidson, Sadie, has got a grown-up daughter now.
Oh?
I was introduced to her in Dixon. Dorothy, her name is. Very nice young lady. They're giving her around town. She's going to marry a fella 24 years old soon.
Uh-huh.
Well, you take grown-up daughters that way. They'll meet some fellow 24 years old and get married.
Yes.
Every time.
Oh, how'd this railroad section gang pal of yours happen to start on the piano, Uncle Fletcher?
Well, sir, it all of a sudden come up this snowstorm. See that?
Yeah, and the straw boss got mad.
That's correct. You in on this secret?
No.
Cooney Miller tells me there's only 3 or 4 people in the whole city of Dixon that know why Cliff Dirtshirt started on the piano.
Well, why did he?
Don't be impatient.
No, but after exciting the guy's curiosity, the fiendish to leave him up.
Cliff Dirtshirt started on the piano just because his cousin married a woman 16 and a half years old.
Is that the reason?
Yes.
His cousin married a woman 16 and a half years old, so he started on the piano?
Yes.
Where does the snowstorm come in at?
You get the point, Rush.
I'm not real sure I do.
And Clifford and the rest of the section gang were all standing there on the railroad tracks driving Spikes. It come up to sudden snow. Davidson, the straw boss, lost his temper. He turned to Lace Montgomery, the water boy, and says, Sadie, Lace Montgomery lives in Des Moines, Kansas now.
Oh?
But he married a woman 22 years old.
He moved to Des Moines, Kansas a year ago last April and married a woman 22 years old.
Oh, hey.
Good going, girl.
I hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah.
I got a second sight, kiddo. I'm a fortune teller. I'm a mind reader.
Yeah, you're terrible smart.
Married a woman 22 years old, did he, Uncle Fletcher?
Married a woman 22 years old, went into the non-removable varnish business, and has just lately wrote back to his friends in Dixon as he's working on an invention to keep lawnmowers from getting clogged up with wet grass in rainy weather.
Uh-huh.
Little Lace Montgomery. He was just a lad when I knew him.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I suppose you chatted with old Mr. Cunningham.
Brought some junk home with me from Dixon, Sadie.
Oh, really?
Different trash I'd left there at different people's houses.
Uh-huh.
Keepsakes and mementos for the most part. Nothing of any value. Thought I'd divide it up between you and Bessie.
Uh-oh.
Usually you get 14 velvet-covered payment bricks.
Uh-huh.
I brought back a leather sofa cushion, for one thing.
Leather sofa cushion?
Leather sofa cushion filled with genuine Missouri sand.
Sand?
Genuine Missouri sand. Sand that was gathered from the banks of the Mississippi River near Hannibal. Sofa cushion will heft close to 60 pounds.
Did you take that on the train with you?
Yes.
Well, holy smoke, wasn't it heavy?
Cooney Miller helped me load it.
Who helped you unload it?
Yes. Had kind of an embarrassing thing to happen with that leather sofa cushion. I left it out in the aisle beside my seat, see? And the conductor come along and stumbled over it, like he broke his neck. That's the main reason why he was sulky and wouldn't take the chocolate cupcake off me right at first. He was all for punching my ticket and to heck with me. But I wheedled him into eating his cupcake, and in 5 minutes he was happy as lard.
Well, what else did you bring back from Dixon, Uncle Fletcher?
A leather sofa cushion filled with genuine Missouri sand direct from the banks of the Mississippi River near Hannibal.
Well, I mean besides that.
I brought back a leather dresser scarf with writing burned on it.
Oh?
The big catfish are biting in the sloughs behind La Crosse, Wisconsin, Uncle Ted.
Is that what's written on the dresser scarf?
Yes. You can have it, or Bessie can have it.
Bessie can have it.
Also, I brought back a horsehair watch fob. Thought you could use that, Rush.
Thanks. Of course, I got no watch.
Cliff Dirtshirt made that horsehair watch fob.
Oh, isn't he the one that started on the piano?
Yes. It's the limit how Cliff started on the piano. Just because a complete stranger stopped him on the street and tried to sell him a pair of tennis shoes.
Is that the reason he started on the piano?
Yes.
How about the snowstorm?
And how about his cousin that married the woman 16 and a half years old?
Fine.
Forget about old Cliff and his piano.
Yes.
What else did you bring back from Dixon, Uncle Fletcher?
Saw them all. Saw Cooney Miller, Art Sykes, Bert Adams, Cliff Dirtshirt, and his brother Charlie. The whole outfit.
Well, take it all around, then you had a real good time.
Had a first-rate time.
That's good.
I told everybody hello for you folks.
Uh-huh.
They'd inquire, don't you know?
Sure.
How's Vic? How's Sadie? How's Rush?
Uh-huh.
They inquired. But the best part of the visit was hearing that secret about old Cliff.
He started on the piano.
Started on the piano, yes.
Uncle Fletcher.
Yes?
Why did Cliff start on the piano?
Cliff Dirtshirt started on the piano just because he read in the newspaper where a fellow living in Philadelphia, Ohio, took an automobile apart with a hairpin.
Stay tuned next for Speaking of Liberty.
Speaking of Liberty, the National Broadcasting Company presents another in a special series of programs under the auspices of the Council for Democracy. There was free talk in the old New England Town Hall and around the Cracker Barrel in the Crossroads store. And there's free talk by free men every week at this time on the air, led by our host, Rex Stout. Many of you may already know Rex Stout as the creator of Nero Wolfe, criminologist extraordinary. On this program, you will get to know him even better as an outspoken champion of our American democracy. Mr. Stout.
Thank you, George Hicks. Good evening, friends of liberty. We Americans don't like it that the average Englishman knows nothing of Thomas Jefferson, except that he was some kind of an American who did something or other. But what does the average American know of Simon Bolivar? Yet Bolivar was one of the truly great men of our own New World. The Encyclopedia Britannica says, Bolivar's life presents one of history's most colossal personal canvases of adventure and tragedy, glory and defeat. And most of us are grossly ignorant not only of South America's past, but even of her present. It's high time we learned something about the southern half of this hemisphere, which we have sworn to defend against transoceanic gangsters. One American who realized that fact some time ago is here's our guest today. Crowle returned recently from an extensive and comprehensive tour of Latin America. If you confuse him with the famous Crowle, who has spent half his working life in China, and who wrote those informative and delightful books, 400 Million Customers and Master Kung, and numerous others about China, Japan, and the Philippines, that's all right. He's the same man.
Not exactly the same, Mr. Stout. With the world in convulsions, I doubt if any man alive is the same as he was 2 years ago. For instance, speaking of liberty, all of us love democracy more or less than we did before Hitler turned his armies loose.
I love it more.
So do I.
Then we won't quarrel about that, Mr. Crow, and we're among friends. What about South America? Did you feel you were among friends there? Are those countries, in fact, democracies?
Yes and no. It depends on your standard. If you mean are they perfect democracies, certainly not. There are none. You don't regard the United States as a perfect democracy, do you?
By no means. Far from it. But it's nothing to be ashamed of. We've done pretty well, and we're trying hard.
So are the South American countries. If they haven't come quite as far as we have, remember we have a head start of 50 years. Our Declaration of Independence dates from 1776, and Argentina didn't get hers until 1821. Bolivar was still fighting the Spaniards in Peru in 1824.
50 years. Would you say that they are now as far along as we were in 1890?
Hardly, because it isn't just a matter of time. You see, the people who settled North America were pioneers in search of religious freedom. They were mostly English and represented the great commercial democracy that was just developing. They came over here to build homes, and they weren't afraid of work. Also, they already had an idea of self-government.
And, of course, that wasn't true of the Spaniards and Portuguese who settled South America.
Not at all. They came entirely for exploitation. And their ideas of politics and social organizations were completely feudal. Aristocrats and gentlemen adventurers on top, peons and slaves at the bottom. The gentlemen adventurers were too proud to work. And their main idea was to grab off a fortune as quickly as possible and get back home to enjoy it. The ideas and customs of an old-world feudal society lingered on in most of the South American countries from the days of conquistadors, and they haven't yet disappeared. And then, of course, if you're comparing democracy in North and South America, remember that the people themselves are different.
Different how?
Up here, we're fairly much alike. We're a nation of 100% middle-class consumers. Down in South America, the countries are as varied as the colors of a rainbow. Argentina and Uruguay, for example, are almost 100% white and proud of it. Just a little to the north is Brazil. It's a mixture of everything, and Brazilians are equally proud of that. A Brazilian friend of mine told me that a true Brazilian was a sort of a human cocktail. White, black, maybe a dash of yellow and red, a sort of a racial pousse café.
Well, then what kind of an outlook is there for what the statesmen call hemispheric solidarity? If the various peoples of South America are also different, what'll pull them together? What chance is there of really effective cooperation against totalitarianism?
That brings up a very interesting problem, Mr. Stout, because the same factors work in both ways. All of the countries of South America are intensely nationalistic and patriotic. They're proud of themselves and of what they've accomplished, and they're just as jealous and suspicious of their neighbors. I mean, they're just as suspicious of each other as they are of us. But at the same time, this very nationalism makes them determined to run their own affairs and resentful of any attempt at dictation from abroad.
So you'd say that while there isn't much chance of a South American federal union like ours, there also isn't much chance of domination by foreigners or foreign dictators.
Federal union was the ideal of Simon Bolivar, the great liberator, but it didn't work out. There were too many national jealousies and rivalries then, and there have been too many ever since then.
Well, what about the infiltration and eventual domination by outsiders, for instance, the Nazis?
I don't think that's likely except by force. I know what's in your mind, Mr. Stout. You're thinking that because a good many governments in South America have been called dictatorships, there's a natural sympathy for Nazism and fascism. There have been a good many governments in the history of South America that have been organized and run by so-called strongmen. But South Americans as a whole have never given up their faith in the democratic ideal. They haven't attained it. They have made mistakes just as we do, and occasionally they're in the hands of a Huey Long. They have a property qualification on voting, but we still have a poll tax in some states. But the important thing is that they're working towards a more democratic democracy as a great goal of the future. All over South America, the ideal is political and social democracy on the North American pattern.
Well, a lot of people in the United States feel that the countries of Latin America are governed chiefly by palace revolutions.
I don't think that's fair. Take the case of Colombia, for example. There hasn't been a contested presidential election in Colombia for the last 100 years. The only real revolution they've ever had was one 40 years ago over an attempt to overthrow the Constitution. There are 9 million people in Colombia, but only 20% of them are literate white voters. The rest are Indians. But the last election, over 900,000 voters went to the polls.
Not so bad. 1 voter in every 2 going to the polls. Or wait a minute, what about women? Is there woman suffrage in Colombia?
Mr. Stout, I can't tell you. I asked 4 Colombians, and 2 said yes, and 2 said no.
I see. It depends on their wives, and that's really pure democracy. But tell me something, Mr. Crowle. You said that the South American ideal in politics and administration was on the North American pattern.
That's true, Mr. Stout.
Well, I'm surprised at that because I thought we'd been pretty generally disliked and distrusted in South America.
I know, the cost of the North and all that business. That has been true in the past, and it still lingers on. But recently there's been quite a change for the better.
Due to what? The good neighbor policy?
Quite definitely. The 2 greatest men in Latin American eyes are President Roosevelt and Mr. Hull.
Well, what has the good neighbor policy actually accomplished, Mr. Crowle?
More cooperation between neighbors in South America, and much more cooperation between the South American countries and ourselves. For a while, there was a great deal of cynicism. We talked about loans, and there have been too many loans in the past, private loans, that were made purely for exploitation. But when the really constructive loans of the Import-Export Bank came along to provide for factories and develop natural resources, people began to feel that the good neighbor policy really was something.
Well, you say the money is being used to build factories. Won't that interfere with our export trade?
No, because the whole idea is to make South America self-sufficient in the field of cheap consumer goods, which we don't export from the United States and which in the past have been bought from Germany and Japan, and also to help them develop raw materials, materials that we've been buying elsewhere and can now buy from our neighbors in the South.
How do the Nazis like that?
They don't like it at all, but there isn't much that they can do.
Are they trying?
They're trying, Mr. Stout, but they can't make deliveries now, and they're not getting very far. Even in the years between 1932 and 1938, when the Nazis were being told by Hitler that they must export or die, German trade in South America increased only 15%. In those same 6 years, our own trade increased 164%. And in 1938, the last normal year, our exports to the 20 Latin American republics were greater than the combined exports of Germany, Great Britain, and Japan.
Well, how did we do it?
For one thing, we did it with commercial integrity. I know that sounds like a slogan for a Rotary Club, but in the main it's true.
Well, what about the export of propaganda? What about the millions of German colonists in South America? What about the recent Nazi plot in Uruguay?
That's a very difficult question, Mr. Stout. The Uruguay outbreak was very disturbing, and it indicated Nazi penetration had gone much farther than people realized. And there's plenty of evidence of their work throughout South America. All we can do is to keep our eyes open and work harder than ever to make sure that American influence, and by that I mean the influence, our own North American influence, is strong enough to beat the Nazis at their own game.
Well, how does Hitler's propaganda machine work in South America?
Much as it does everywhere else. I don't think the Nazi agents are quite as numerous as we've been led to believe, but they're very busy and tireless. Every consulate has a large staff with press attachés and other agents, all of them very active. The so-called fifth columnists are trying to work with the minorities. And there's aboard there the Berlin shortwave broadcast, but ours are much more popular. And of course they try to keep control of the German population in general. But even there they have their troubles. A whole lot of Germans in South America hate the Nazis and say so. In my opinion, the number of Germans in South America has been greatly exaggerated. Most of those classified as Germans only had a German grandfather, like Wendell Willkie, and certainly he is no Nazi. In all South America, only one political leader I know of has come out openly in favor of the Nazi cause and the Nazi philosophy. He is a member of an opposition party with a local reputation for being eccentric and against everything.
You certainly are no alarmist, Mr. Crowle. I can hardly see the cloud for the silver lining. But what if Hitler wins his war?
You mean really wins it? Wins control of the oceans? In that case, Mr. Stout, everyone in the world would be either a prisoner or a Nazi or dead. It wouldn't matter what you thought or what the South Americans thought. By control of trade routes, raw materials, and by possession of a dominant navy, the Nazis would make of the American hemisphere a collection of colonies which they could exploit at their leisure. The only difference between the United States and the other American countries is that we would be the biggest colony. But returning to the present situation, I didn't mean to indicate that there wasn't any danger or that we could afford to ignore the German strategy in South America. They never lose a chance to picture us as a selfish, imperialist power, exploiting our neighbors. And don't forget the distrust and suspicion of the United States are always very near the surface.
Which we have no right to kick about. We haven't always been the good neighbors.
No, our motives haven't always been so pure and unselfish, and the South Americans haven't forgotten it. They're keenly aware of their own economic and military weakness, and they're a very proud and sensitive people, proud of their culture and their heritage just as we are. We've got to remember those things when we deal with them.
And I take it you did find a good many friends of liberty on your trip down there, Mr. Crowle.
Yes, I did. I talked with a great many people of all classes and kinds, and there isn't a doubt in my mind about their devotion to democracy. Mr. Stout, there are traces, and even more than traces, of feudalism to be found everywhere, but it's dying and everyone knows that it is. As we agreed a while ago, there isn't any pure democracy anywhere. South American democracy is younger than ours, and it has grown out of a more difficult past, but it has the same goal, and personally I'm convinced that with time and experience and understanding on our part and genuine cooperation in defense and trade, that goal will be achieved.
Thank you, Mr. Crowle. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is Carl Crowle, world traveler, writer, and authority on the foreign trade of the United States. This is Rick Stout saying goodbye until next week.
Thank you, and you've just heard the 14th of a special series of programs entitled Speaking of Liberty, brought to you each week by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with the Council for Democracy, a national organization dedicated to the propagation of an American faith in democracy. And next week, Rex Stout will bring Bertrand Russell to the microphone. A copy of the script of this broadcast will be mailed free to anyone requesting it. Please address your letter or card to the Council for Democracy, 285 Madison Avenue, New York City. That's the Council for Democracy at 285 Madison Avenue, New York City. Speaking of Liberty has been presented as a public service by NBC and the independent radio stations associated with the Red Network of the National Broadcasting Company.
Here is your morning news roundup. War situation. London. Report Hopkins bears war pledge to Britain. Britain's V for victory turned back upon them by Nazis. Berlin. Smolensk rail center 230 miles west of Moscow falls. Moscow. Nazi mechanized drives claimed withstood. Madrid. It's madness to go to war, Franco tells U.S. Rome. Italy, Germany hold U.S. consuls as hostage. London. Air raids cost German 56 ships in 10 days. Tokyo. Hanoi forms cabinet. Full wartime basis expected. Domestic news. Draft drawing held for 750,000 men 21 years old. Minneapolis police chief quits in mystery. High bonds set for 11 held in pipeline bombing. Lindbergh asks quiz on Ickey's pro-Nazi charges. Chicago's all-Negro regiment wins praise of officers. Local Chicago and Illinois news. Governor Green to veto bookie bill, friends assert. Woman accused in a state row commits suicide. Moriarty confession admitted into murder evidence. 3 Chicago areas designated as blight districts. Arms contracts sought to aid small Illinois factories. Washington news. General Marshall tells his fears in urging retention of draftees. American Army's present strength totals 1,447,000 men. U.S. blacklists 1,800 Latin persons and firms for Axis ties. Senate committee approves compromise property seizure bill. Sports news. Joe DiMaggio's batting record ends at 56 games. $5,000 Chicago Open tourney starts at Elmhurst today. Sox lose to Boston 7-4 and fall to 5th place. Technician at 5-2 beats a fast field. 52 yachts enter annual Mackinac race. Cubs play 2-all tie with Phils in 6 innings. Riddle wins 11th straight. Reds beat Giants 5-4. Commerce and finance. Morgenthau asks curb on production for civilian use. Aircraft exports slump in May. Food shipments climb. 6 hurt as police and CIO pickets clash at Bendix, New Jersey. Shippers urged to hold grain out of Chicago, space lacking. Assessor plans enticing firms return through tax cut.
The Secret Service, entrusted with 2 of America's most vital policing jobs, the safeguarding of our president and the protection of our currency against counterfeiters, the men of the Secret Service are frontline soldiers in the never-ending war against crime, standing not only between the chief executive and an assassin's bullet, but between the nation's currency and the vicious criminals who would despoil it. The men of the Secret Service deserve our gratitude as well as our respect. Yet, too often, their reward is death.
Fast as a rabbit.
We'll get him.
I can't hit him from here. Drive up a little closer and I'll stop him with a bullet.
Don't shoot your luck. You might kill Severn. You can't do any engraving if he's dead. Round him off the road.
Frisk him. He may have another.
Say, that sounds like gunshots in the road ahead.
Yeah, step on it.
All right, get him in the car. Help! 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 Please! Help!
Those idiots will bump him off and ruin everything. I better go and handle it.
Nothing doing. You stay with me. They've had their orders.
Step on it. Police are on our tail.
Steal a car, get a fast one.
Is he dead?
No, not yet. Got a chunk of lead in his back, though.
There's 2 of them in the car.
One of them jumped. He's a half a mile away by now. Give me a hand.
All right. All right, push up.
We gotta get this man to a doctor or he'll die before we get any information out of him.
Okay, we'll take him to the infirmary at the state prison.
That's the nearest. Grab hold of his legs, then, will you? Come on. Get up. Get up. That's it. Come on. All right.
Continue the pressure and keep me posted. Crimp Evans won't talk. I can't get a full report on what happened till Holt gets here.
I hope he got a line on the leader of the mob.
Not like even what he said over the phone. But we have a plan for picking up the trail again. Oh, tell Miss Drew to come in, will you?
All right, Miss Drew. Mr. Malloy will see you now.
Thank you.
I understand you're from the Chicago office.
Yes, I flew out. I landed an hour ago.
Oh, meet Jim Layden, one of my operatives.
How do you do?
I'm glad to know you, Miss Drew. All the boys will be glad. Your work in the East has been a standout.
Oh, I've just been lucky.
You understand this will be a particularly dangerous assignment. A slight mistake may cost you your life.
I'm used to that. I've worked where gun moles' lives aren't worth a dime a dozen. Shoot the works. I'm ready. Thank you.
Here's the setup. We're up against a criminal wave. Post office stick-ups, bank robberies, and so forth. Last night, John 7. One of the best engravers in the Treasury Department was carried off.
I see. Going to force him to engrave plates for counterfeit money. That's pretty smart. Simple, too, but not new.
If 7 engraves the plates, the phony money will be practically undetectable.
As serious as that, huh?
Yes. The reason the department sent for you is this. The plan we've worked out calls for a woman operative. Now, you've never worked in the West.
I'll do my best.
All right, Severn, down you go.
Where are you taking me? What is this place?
You'll find out. Get on down. I wouldn't like to finish you here. I'd mess up the scenery.
Spike, how long are we supposed to stay here?
Until the boss gives us the word. Fallon's in there talking to him now.
Get this. Crimp Evans and Nick Farrell were run down by the police. Crimp was wounded and captured. Farrell escaped.
Has he reported yet?
Not yet. He may be wounded and hiding out somewhere. Report to me when the men bring in Severn.
All right, boss. We'll keep a close lookout and let you know the minute anything happens.
That is all.
Here comes the boys and the guy they went after.
Well, Tony, if everything goes well, we may have a new workman. A fellow by the name of Nick Farrell.
Who is this Nick Farrell the boss speaks of? Anybody know him?
No, none of us know him except by reputation. He's been hiding out with Crimp Evans after making a break from Leavenworth.
How does that, is he? I'm hoping he don't come here. Why put the heat on us?
Well, the boss is still the boss.
You got him, huh? Where's the other boys?
They led the cops off. Is Valden inside?
Waiting and anxious. Come on. He don't look like he's so clever.
Here's your man, Valden. We had a little trouble.
All right. I've had a portal and all that. Well, Seven, we know you're one of the best engravers in the government service. You're going to help us make some money that can't be told from the kind Uncle Sam makes. If you obey orders, you won't get hurt.
You can't make me turn traitor to my country. You can kill me if you like.
Oh, brave guy, eh? Think you can take it? Well, it's not as simple as all that. We have means here of making you do just as you're told. Show him where his workroom is.
I won't go, do you hear me? I won't go. Let me out of here. I won't go. Oh.
Take him out and tame him. Use a little persuasion. I'll tell the boss he's here.
We publicized a yarn that Nick Farrell, a big-time crook doing a stretch in Leavenworth, had escaped and was headed west.
I see. And your man Holt got in contact with this mob by passing himself off as Farrell.
That's right. He hid out with Crimp Evans, got acquainted with a couple of the others of that gang, and was taken in on the grabbing of Severn.
We expected they'd take Holt to the hideout of the leader of the gang, but...
I know. He bungled the job.
Wrong, lady.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I spoke out of turn.
I'd have been in their hideout right now if the county police hadn't messed things up.
We're going to fix that And Miss Drew, meet Jack Holt, your future husband.
Husband? I don't get it.
Maybe I can explain. Nick Farrell, that's me, broke a couple of ribs when he jumped from a car last night. The police are going to pick him up and take him to the prison infirmary where they're holding Crip Evans. And my ever-loving wife, that's you, going to help spring us.
Well, that's a quick romance. How do we work it?
Well, the details aren't worked out as yet, but roughly this is the plan. Now, keep both ears open because we can't afford a slip-up.
Another one, huh? Who is he? What's his record?
His moniker's Nick Farrell, fugitive from Leavenworth. We're holding him here until he's able to travel. He's got a broken something or other.
Oh, shut up, chatterbox.
All right, I'll find a place for him. Bring him in here. Lay down, you fellas. What's the matter with you?
Hop in.
Take it easy, you lugs. What are you trying to do, kill me?
Pipe down. We don't baby anyone around here. Get into bed and shut up.
Okay, okay.
Come on, let's get out of here.
A lot of help you turned out to be. What happened to you?
I busted a couple of ribs when I jumped out of the car. The bull picked me up in the drugstore this morning when I was phoning the wife.
A wife, huh? That's fine. And you slated to go back to Leavenworth.
Not me. The missus is pulling wires right now to spring me.
That's something. How about taking me with you?
Not a chance. Be too risky.
Look, Nick.
Quiet. You'll ruin everything.
In case you don't know it, you only speak here when you're spoken to.
Okay, brother. I know the rules.
Yeah, you know the rules.
Hey, Tony, have the boys got the stuff ready yet?
Yeah, finished the first batch about an hour ago.
It wasn't as hard to make Seven do his stuff as I thought.
Can you blame him? No man could take the working over we gave him.
Well, the boss isn't through with him yet. He's got to make some 5s and 10s, too. I think I'll give him a little sales talk so he doesn't get cold on the idea.
Alden, it's all ready, and it's nifty.
Well, that's fine. Pack it in here, boys, and make it snappy.
Yep.
Now, Seven. Well, Seven, you've done a fine job. It'll take sharp eyes to detect your stuff from the real McCoy.
You promised I'd be out of here in a couple of days. It's been 2 weeks or more. I've lost track of time. When are you going to let me go?
Just as soon as you turn out the 5s and 10s.
I've engraved my last plate.
Look, Seven, you can't win. Why argue? Remember what happened to you the last time. I'll get back to your press. If his nibs causes you any trouble, refuses to cooperate, work him over again.
We will. Hurry back with some good dough.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Sorry, sir. Why the suitcase?
Why, to carry off my winnings, of course. What else?
Well, fine, and I hope you fill it. But you'll have to check it with me for now.
Oh, okay. Have it ready for me when I leave.
Davis. Go.
17 in the black.
17.
Whoever thought of calling me Lucky Arnold? The liar.
Too bad, Mr. Arnold. You can't win all the time.
Why not? Well, I guess this isn't my night.
Ready to go again. Get your best now, Scorpio. All right. Throw in your pocket. Let's go.
Hello, Chief. You saw Valden?
Of course. How's the stuff look?
Pretty near perfect, I'd say.
That could pass anybody but an expert and fool some of them. I'll gamble on it.
But that's a lot of queer money to have to pass out.
I have lots of other outlets beside this ship. The racetracks will take care of any surplus. Any more information about this man Farrell?
Well, nothing except that the federal men are waiting for his broken ribs to mend before taking it back. Seems they were pretty close behind him when he landed in town.
That's too bad. From all accounts, he's a brainy man. We could use him. Tell Valden to get back to the hideout at once. Wait there for orders. I'm anxious for some of those smaller bills. They're easier to pass.
Right away, sir.
Take it away. My hound dog gets better than that.
I'm an intern, not a cook.
Look, Nick, you gotta take me out of here with you. You ain't got no place to go, and the Federals will have you back again in no time.
Maybe. But having you with me won't help things any.
Sure it will. My mob's got a hideout that's ever been spotted.
Yeah? Where is it?
I ain't telling you where it is. But you help me and I'll fix it so he won't be caught.
I'll think it over and see what I can do.
That's a pal. I'll see that you're not sorry. When do you expect a wife?
Any time now. She better come pretty soon. I can't stall him forever.
Come on. What's the stall? I want to see Nick Farrell.
We don't allow visitors in the infirmary. It ain't regular.
The pass is regular, ain't it? Signed by the warden himself. Come on, do your stuff.
All right. I'll take you up. Ed, watch out here.
Thanks a lot.
Denny. Nick Farrell's Mall. Take her in.
Mall nothing. Nick Farrell's wife, and don't you forget it. You want to see the certificate?
Now, I'll take your word for it. My error, Mrs. Farrell.
You mug.
Lay down. Look like you didn't expect anything.
He called you Denny, right?
Right. I got a tough grind. I'm on duty till way after 10 o'clock tonight.
You want me to weep in the bucket? Take me in.
Quiet, you mugs. There's the lady here. A visitor, Farrell.
Hi, you big boy.
Hello, honey. Don't go too close. You're not going to pass him anything.
How could I pass him anything? They frisked me in the warden's office. Listen, Nick, I'm doing everything I can to keep him from sending you back to federal prison. I've been in touch with a lot of big-shot politicians.
Don't bother with the politicians. I told you to get in touch with the governor.
He's been away. I'm going to talk to him by long distance.
When?
10 o'clock tonight. 10 sharp. Well, I'll give him a strong line. He's sure to help us.
He'd better. Oh, there'll be a couple of us go back to Leavenworth.
Couple, huh? Don't worry, Nick. I'll do the best I can. Anyway, they won't take you away from here till you're feeling better.
As though they'd consider my feelings.
Sorry, lady. Time's up.
Oh, but I've hardly spoken to him.
That's your hard luck. Come on. Time's up.
Okay. Thanks for the lady stuff anyway. You're a gent. Goodbye, Nick. I'll let you know how things go. Just keep in mind, I'm working for you every minute.
Okay, kid, you're swell. Well, it's all set.
What do you mean, all set? A gangster's mall gonna talk to the governor?
Quiet. I tell you, it's all set. You heard what she said. 10 o'clock tonight.
Is that what she meant? But you were gonna tell her about me.
I told her about you, dope. I said there'd be a couple of passengers, didn't I?
Yeah. You're smart, Nick. The chief can use you. Brains are needed in our outfit. And boy, you got plenty.
Thanks for the compliment. Now relax until the time comes. What's the matter with you?
That thing's a bust. I knew she couldn't make it.
Pipe down. We've still got 4 minutes to go. Things go right.
now. The wagon's downstairs to transfer Farrell.
Did you get the doctors okay?
No, do I need it?
Yes, go and get it.
Ready, Crimp? This is it.
I've been ready for hours.
Oh!
What's the matter with you?
I lost my ribs.
Get back in the bed.
They're busted again. I can't.
I'll help you.
Get going. Get going.
Hey, did it? What happened? Hey, huh? They get away. Get out. Hey, get away. Be quiet, you left. Get out.
He done it. He done it.
I don't think clear yet. There goes the alarm. Come on, let's get you.
Calling all cars. Jailbreak at the state prison. Farrell and Evans last seen headed south on San Marcos Pike. Use caution. These men are desperate.
Gunshots. They must be getting close.
Okay, Mrs. Farrell. Your hubby and his pal are inside, safe as bugs in a rug.
That's swell. You know where to collect for the job.
Sure do. Want any more help?
No, thanks. Start rolling the minute they're out and disappear. Okay, big boy, out you come, pronto.
Hello, honey. You did a swell job.
All right, take it away.
Come on, Crimp. What's holding you back?
So you must have cut it pretty fine. I heard police sirens just before you drew up.
I guess I didn't sock that guard hard enough. He came too sooner than I expected. The alarm was on right after we cleared the gates.
Break it up, you two. We gotta get moving.
Crimp, this is the missus.
We met.
You're a cool one. You can't even say thanks for springing you.
I appreciate what you done, but we gotta get moving. Where are we?
Heading east, a mile or so from San Marcos Pike. Well, springing you was my job. Now it's up to you guys. Where do we go from here?
Crimp, you're the doctor from now on. Where's that famous hideout of yours?
I'll take you there, but I'm doing the driving.
Can you beat that? He don't trust us after all we done for him.
Mrs. Farrell, I don't trust nobody. If I was to bring the wrong guy into that hideout, my life wouldn't be worth a nickel.
He's right, honey. Let's go.
Fair enough. Let's.
You and me are going on. The missus turns back here. She can have the car.
What do you mean she turns back? Why, there's any leak in this job, she'll get a 10-year stretch. You let her come this far.
Sure. To avoid the chance of her being picked up before we were in the clear. I take enough chance taking you with me, but not the dame. They'd knock me off and her, too.
Well, then I'm...
He's right. It's better that way. Don't worry about me. I can take care of myself. Beat it.
Okay.
I was afraid of that. Read this note when you get a chance.
All right.
Goodbye, Nick. Take care of yourself.
I'll get in touch with you as soon as the heat's off.
Right.
You handle a canoe in fast water?
Well, enough. How fast is it?
Plenty. There's a waterfall downstream a ways. You gotta portage around it. That's how we get to the hideout.
Okay. Where's this fast-running water you're talking about?
Don't worry, we're coming to it. Double-crossing wife of yours thought you'd trick me. Well, you're gonna get yours now. Head for the shore, stool pigeon.
The most dangerous man in the gang. What has he seen? Who is he shooting at? And what about Kay? Can she escape his evil clutches? Don't miss Ramparts of Revenge, next week's exciting chapter of Holt of the Secret Service.
Stay tuned next for Famous Fathers.
Benny, I'm home.
I know, Father.
Hello, everyone. This is Ray Green introducing another program in the series of Famous Fathers. You've just heard the voice of Howard Lindsay, star and co-author of that great comedy hit Life with Father, greeting Vinny with his usual homecoming. Of course, Mr. Lindsay's not back with us yet due to ill health, but we do have our famous guest father with us today, as well as a famous guest mother. Our guest father is truly a famous American father and the son of one of the most famous of all American fathers, the late President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt. And that, of course, means that today we're honored in having with us as our guest father, Colonel Theodore Roosevelt. He was received many citations from foreign governments for his service overseas in the last World War, as well as the Distinguished Service Cross from this country. He was right in the midst of the most important battles of that war, was Assistant Secretary of the Navy upon his return, Governor of Puerto Rico, the Governor General of the Philippine Islands, has made several expeditions to Asia. He was one of the original organizers of the American Legion, has received the Order of the Jade, which has been awarded to only a few people throughout the world for distinguished service to China. He's the Vice President of the Boy Scouts of America, has written many books, and since 1935 he has been and still is editor and Vice President of the Doubleday Duran Publishing Company. He's the father of 4 children, 2 daughters and 2 sons. But I could go on for hours and tell you about Colonel Theodore Roosevelt, but you're probably just as familiar with this outstanding American as I am. Our famous mother is the wife of the famous author John Phillips Marquand, who in 1938 was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for his best-selling book, The Late George Appley. Mr. Marquand also saw service in the last World War, and in 1916 he served on the Mexican border with the Massachusetts National Guard during the Pancho Villa fracas. Our two distinguished guests are going to have somewhat of a debate on the subject, father's position in the household. We'll probably have lots of fun, but first, a word of interest to all. Well, we're gathered around a table here in the studio, Colonel Theodore Roosevelt, Mrs. John Phillips Marquand, myself. We're going to start this discussion off, and I think the Colonel might open the idea up.
I'd be delighted to open the idea up. First, I want to thank you for the introduction and say you were wrong on one point. You were wrong on the fact that I have 2 daughters and 2 sons. I've got 3 sons and 1 daughter, and my wife wouldn't thank you to cut off one of our sons.
My most humble apologies.
Another thing. You didn't name my principal claim to distinction, because in addition to those, I've got 2 grandchildren. Look, Adelaide, you've seen life with Father. Yes. What do you think of Father's position in that household?
Well, I think Father's position in that household was just about what it should be.
Oh, come.
Yes,
now, come.
I really do.
You do?
Yes.
Well, now, my feeling about a father's position is this, that a father's position in the household is secondary to the mother's. The mother's got the responsibility for bringing up those children, and she calls in the father as an aid and advisor.
Well, I know in my household I should have the responsibility for running the dull little routine of the house. And when you speak of bringing up children, of course, I have 1 small child, a year old, which makes me very capable authority on education of children from 1 to 21.
Adelaide, that makes me think of something that Mother always used to say. Mother said she wanted to have 12 children. She said that 1 child took all your time and 12 couldn't do more. So there you are, do you see, right on that.
I agree with her, and I think it's perfectly deplorable the way the families in the United States have fewer and fewer children now, particularly the educated people who could give something to their children, and it's always a discreet tool.
Adelaide, you know Eleanor, my wife. Do you think that I'm head of that household? Honestly now.
Well, I know that in your household there's a great deal of talk of humility on your part and a great humble act. But when you really look down underneath, I have a very definite idea as to who runs the works.
Now, that makes me think that you were siding with my wife because she always pulls that particular kind of camouflage over some arbitrary act of hers. Adelaide, one story that's always amused me was something that happened to my father. Happened to us and to my father when we were all little. You know, we used to go off on picnics because, of course, your father used to go with us on some of these picnics. This time we were going out to Lloyd's Neck, which is near Oyster Bay, and we all went out in rowboats. It was a very hot day. And Father took all of us children out walking. And we ranged from about 15 to about 6 in age, and there were about anywhere from 10 to 20 of us. And we got hotter and hotter, and the water looked beautiful, but we brought no bathing suits. Father finally cut the Gordian knot by saying, "Go in with your clothes on." We went in with our clothes on. And we had a grand time, and we started back to where the assembled mothers were. And I can remember, as if it were today, as we approached them, and they heard us coming, one of them looked up, then another, and then the look of horror and surprise that came over their faces when they realized that we'd been in bathing with our clothes on. We weren't in disgrace. Father was. The head of the family. It'll amuse you too, Mr. Green, because coming back from that, we rowed back in a boat, and I was in the boat with Father and my brother Kermit. Kermit had croup, or was usually having croup in the evening, and I can hear my mother talking to Kermit. "Now, Kermit, put this coat and wrap it around you. After what your father has done, taking you in bathing with your clothes on, I'm afraid you're going to have croup tonight." And then we all walked up to our house, Sagamore Hill. And Mother walked ahead. And Father came after us, and we all trooped along after him. And when we got to the house, Mother said, as she went in the door to the children, "Come, children, now. I'm going to give you medicine to see that you don't get a cold." And we hung back, and the door closed. And Father was standing behind, and he'd been saying very, very little for a long while. And we turned to Father, and we said, "Father, won't you please stop Mother giving us medicine?" And I can see Father as he turned around to us and said, "Children, I shan't attempt to stop your mother. I'll be very fortunate if she doesn't give me medicine, too." Now, that was his position in the family, Adelaide.
Well, I can almost match you with a swimming with clothes on story that really ties up to my father, too. My father always had an idea that all of his daughters should earn their living, no matter what. We must be able to earn our living whether we had to or not.
A darn good idea.
And he decided that we should all go to college. And when we went out into the world, at first we were never given too much money. We had to rustle a bit for ourselves. And the first time I ever crossed the continent, I got to Glacier Park. And I had driven out there in a Ford with another girl. And when we got there, the one thing we wanted to do was to take one of these very nice, expensive horseback trips. But we didn't have enough money. It came to $10 or $12 a day with your guide and horse, and we hung around the hotel hoping that some break would come, and all of a sudden a movie company turned up, which was taking movies for the Great Northern Railroad. They said that we could go along if we would pose in the movies.
Yeah.
And we could get a free horse and a free camping trip. So we thought this was wonderful, and it was just smooth. All we had to do was to take the trips that we'd be taking anyway. But the rub came when way up in Brown's Pass there was a glacier running down into a pool and an iceberg in the middle of it. And I had to swim out to the iceberg with my clothes on and climb up. And I felt that day I had well earned my $12 trip.
I think that's delightful. Adelaide, you know, that brings up a point that I think is quite important in the question of children. I think that they are very apt in this modern overdone cult to emphasize the importance of the children over the importance of the parents, to soften the children up, make them conceited and self-centered. How about it? Agree with me?
I certainly do agree with you, and I think from all the conversation I've heard about some of the ultramodern schools that they're all built around the child. The home must be built around the child, and every bit of atmosphere that comes into the home is just calculated to be just the right thing for a child, and that to me gives the child a very poor basis to start life on. He doesn't have the shocks. He's protected, and
well, I agree with you, and I think there's another awful thing that's done then. The child gradually begins to think of herself or himself as the center of the universe to which everybody should bow down, and doesn't realize that they've got to have thought for the feelings of others and look out for themselves. Now, Adelaide, you said about your father making you all feel that you had to support yourselves, that you had to pull your own weight in the boat. Father always made us think that. We've always made our children think that. Matter of fact, you know, Father used to say to us, "Children, I'll give you the best education I can afford. And when you're through your education, it's root, hog, or die." And that's a pretty good idea, don't you think so?
I think it's a very good idea.
Just before we started here, Colonel, you had made some comparison to a bird down in Australia, I believe it was, and compared him to a father. I'd like you to make that comparison once again.
That goes back to our original point, father's position in the household. There's a bird down in Australia called the bowerbird. And the male of the bowerbird makes the nest and does everything of that sort and finally sits on the eggs. Now, I don't think a father should be a bowerbird. I think a father should go out, rustle, provide the means of maintaining the household, protect the household, but realize that within the household and making the household, the mother is supreme.
Yes, that's true.
Do you agree with that, Mrs. Marquand?
I certainly do.
Well, we're running a little bit short of time here, and I'm sure both of you must have some last word to our audience.
Well, I've got a last word right now, and I want to go back again to what we were talking about just before. I think all fathers and mothers should bear in mind two thoughts in bringing up their children. The first is to bring those children up so they're not selfish. And the second is to make them realize that in this world, every tub must stand on its own bottom, and that those children must go out and face the world on their own responsibility. Those are the two important things I think parents should bear in mind.
Well, my last word is just to say that I think your last word is just as it should be, which is what a mother should say, isn't it?
No! That's a horrid thing to say to me.
This seems to be the one time where the gentleman instead of the lady has had the last word. And thanks very, very much to you, Colonel Theodore Roosevelt, and to you, Mrs. John Phillips Marquand, for coming in with us. And now, before we say good night or good afternoon, a word of interest to all. And so we come to the close and another in the series of programs, Famous Fathers. Remember that next week we'll be back again at this same time with another famous guest father and also a famous guest conductor to fill Howard Lindsay's place during his absence. And now, on behalf of Colonel Theodore Roosevelt and Mrs. John Phillips Marquand, this is Ray Green, hoping that you'll make your life with father and mother a very, very happy one.
Stay tuned next for the adventures of Superman.
Presenting the transcription feature, Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can leap tall buildings at a single bound, race a speeding bullet to its target, then steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice.
And now to our story. Convinced that Clark Kent is a government agent investigating the illegal business in which they seem to be engaged, the two hard-bitten men, known to us only as Bull and Chuck, have set steel bear traps along the forest trail they expect Kent to take in trying to run them down. The traps, well hidden under a layer of snow, are strong enough to hold a 600-pound bear. As dawn breaks over the clearing in which Kent, Jimmy, and their guide Batiste have camped for the night, none of them is even remotely aware of the danger lurking along the forest trail. Seated around the fire, they're finishing the breakfast Batiste has prepared for them, while the guide tends his dogs.
I don't know when I've tasted better fried ham. Wasn't it swell, Jimmy?
Uh-huh.
You don't sound very enthusiastic. Matter of fact, you didn't even finish the ham. What's the matter?
Nothing.
Oh, now, look, young fellow, don't try to kid me. I know your appetite, particularly out here in the open. When you leave anything on your plate, there's something serious the matter with you. What is it?
Nothing's the matter, Mr. Kent.
Don't you feel well?
Well, I feel fine.
Oh, what's bothering you, Jim?
Oh, nothing.
Remember what I told you yesterday about exasperating me? Well, you're doing it now.
Oh, I don't mean to, Mr. Kent. It's just that...
All right, come on, get it off your chest.
Well, it's just that funny things happen. Things I don't understand.
Oh? For instance?
Oh, that shotgun, for instance. How did the barrel get twisted?
Well, I told you, Jimmy, that some things are beyond explanation. Someday, perhaps you'll know.
You mean I'll know how the shotgun barrel got twisted?
Sure, you'll know a lot of things. The older you grow, the more you learn.
Oh, that's not what I mean. I've just got the feeling that you don't tell me everything.
Don't tell you everything? Well, what haven't I told you?
Oh, lots of things.
Didn't I tell you how coal happened to be made and how the government operates game preserves? And...
Oh, I don't mean things like that. I mean, well, the only thing I can remember now is the shotgun barrel.
Oh, now you take my advice, Jim, and forget it temporarily. Well, you all through with breakfast?
Yeah, I wasn't very hungry.
Okay. Let you and I take a little walk while Batiste is feeding his dogs and cleaning up, How about it?
All right.
Okay. Batiste! Jimmy and I are going for a walk. We'll be back soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, come on, Jim.
Where are we going, Mr. Kent?
You haven't forgotten what happened last night, Jimmy, have you?
Oh, you mean the airplane and the package it dropped?
Mm-hmm. I thought we might look for it in the woods.
Oh, those two men have probably found it by this time.
Well.
That's another thing that puzzles me.
What?
Why did you tell Batiste we were breaking camp? Aren't we going to find out who those men are and what they're doing before we leave?
Yes, but I didn't want Batiste along with us while we were investigating. He's better off back at the clearing. Hey, it's pretty tough going here. Knee-deep in snow and dead branches.
Uh-huh. Well, isn't that a trail over there on the other side of that big tree?
Where? Oh, yes, I think it is. Come on, Jim. Ah, here now. This is much better. Snow is packed down a bit.
I wonder where this trail leads.
Well, only one way to find out. Follow it. It's pretty narrow, so we'll have to walk single file, Indian style. I'll lead the way, but you keep close behind me, Jim.
Okay. You don't think those men are real game wardens, do you, Mr. Kent?
I'm sure they're not. As a matter of fact, I think they're up to something. Something they'd like to keep under cover.
Well, what could it be?
I've been trying to figure it out. All I can imagine is that it's some sort of illegal border traffic.
Hey, I'll bet that's it. I'll bet they use the airplane.
Hold up a minute, Jimmy. Wait a minute.
What's the matter?
Someone's been on this trail recently. See those footprints?
Uh-huh.
The snow over there seems to have been disturbed and packed down as hard as the rest. Oh, take a look at it.
Mr. Kent, what happened?
Why, my leg is caught in a steel trap, Jimmy.
Oh, what'll I do? What'll I do, Mr. Kent?
Don't get excited, Jimmy. Run back to the clearing and ask Batiste for the file he carries in his dog sled kit. He uses it to keep the sled runner sharp.
Is that all, Mr. Kent?
Yes, that's all. Now hurry, but don't tell Batiste what happened.
I'll be right back.
Poor kid. Hated to have to frighten him, but as it is, he's getting more suspicious about me every day. Look at these steel trap jaws on my leg. If it had been anyone else, they would have cut right through the bone. Listen to me, using Kent's high voice even when I'm alone. Gotten so used to it. There, that's better. Now to get the trap off my leg. Ooh, that spring is certainly strong. There, that does it. Now, snap it shut. Chances are this isn't the only trap along the trail. I'll have to watch out for Jimmy. If he steps into one of them, it'll be just too bad. Uh-oh, here he comes. Back to Clark Kent.
Here's the file, Mr. Kent. Here. Oh, your leg's free.
Yes, the trap was rusty, and when it snapped shut, it broke.
Well, are you hurt?
No, not a bit.
But those steel jaws, didn't they cut into your leg?
No, I guess these leather boots saved me. Put the file in your pocket, Jim. Did Batiste ask you what you wanted it for?
Yeah, but you said not to tell him.
Good boy. All right, we can go on now, but we've got to be careful. This may not be the only trap set on the trail. You stay back a little way. That's right. I'll poke along with this branch.
Mr. Kent.
Yeah?
Do you think those traps were set for animals or for us?
Well, I'm wondering, Jimmy. Whoop, hold up. Another spot where the snow's been disturbed. I'll dig around with this stick. It may be another... Oh, it is.
Did you see those steel jaws come together?
Well, that's number 2. No telling how many is strewn along here. Certainly weren't intended for animals. They're too close together. All right, come on.
All right. If those two fake game wardens set the traps, they certainly must have something to hide.
Well, there's no doubt about it now. Don't you worry. We'll catch up with them and get to the bottom of this. Hold up, Jim.
Another one?
I think so. And let's poke around with this stick. Now, I guess this is a false alarm. Maybe they only set 2.
Well, the trail's getting wider here. Can I walk alongside you?
No, you better stay behind, Jimmy. Let's not take any chances.
Okay. Say, wait a minute, Mr. Kent.
Huh?
What's that over there in the woods?
Where?
Now, look. To our right, see it? Is it an animal?
No, I don't think so. Oh, Jimmy, do you know what it is?
What?
The package that was dropped from the plane. Come on, let's have a look at it. Be careful you don't tumble in any snowdrifts. Here, take my hand.
Do you really think it's a package?
I'm sure it is. Here we are. All wrapped in heavy burlap. You've got a scout knife with you, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Here.
Thanks. Let me just cut the stitching and see what... Jimmy.
Jumping catfish. Furs.
Northern mink skins.
Must be 1,000 of them in this bundle, maybe more.
Why would an airplane be dropping furs?
Well, the animals were probably trapped in Canada, and they bring them across the border this way to avoid paying the customs charges.
And those two men who said they were game wardens are really fur smugglers.
That's about it.
Gosh, I've heard of diamond smugglers and gold smugglers, but this is the first time I ever heard of fur smugglers.
These mink skins must be worth $3,000 or $4,000. And if the duty on them is high, it pays our phony game warden friends to get them in this way.
Oh. What are we going to do with the bundle now that we found it?
Take it back to the clearing.
You can't carry it alone, Mr. Kent. It's too heavy.
Oh, well, we'll drag it. Grab hold.
Okay.
That's it. It'll go easier once we get it on the trail where the snow is packed down. Up with it now. There we are. There. Now I can just pull it away.
But even as Kent and Jimmy dragged the cumbersome bundle of precious mink skins toward the clearing, Bull, the leader of the smuggling gang, is watching them from the window of his shack through high-powered glasses.
They found the shipment, Chuck. They're taking it back with them.
Oh, none of the bear traps worked in?
No. They missed them, I guess. But we ain't through.
Say, I'm for scramming out of here, Bill.
And leave them with the evidence. Don't be stupid. What chance would we ever have of bringing another skin in? None at all. This would be the end of a sweet little business.
Well, there ain't nothing you can do about it. They got the furs.
They won't have them long.
No shooting. I don't want no shooting.
Cut it out. There won't be no shooting.
Oh, what you gonna do?
I'm gonna give you a chance to pull your crybaby act.
What do you mean?
You're gonna give yourself up.
Oh, no. No, Bill, they'll throw me in the can.
Now listen to me. They won't get a chance to throw you in any can. You give yourself up. Make out like you and me had a fight and you're squealing.
Huh?
See?
And what?
And you tell the big guy you take him to where I am.
Yeah?
You'll bring him to this shack. But watch out for those traps.
Yeah. And when I bring him, they'll be shooting.
No, they won't. I won't even be here.
Sure. You're gonna let me take the rap.
You're dumber than I thought you were. Nobody's gonna take any rap. I won't be here because I'll be getting the kid and that Canuck driver.
Why?
Because once I got them, I can talk turkey to the big guy, see?
Yeah, I see.
All right, get going. Remember, bring the big guy back here. Alone.
Suppose you don't want to come.
He'll come.
How'll I get clear of him after I bring him here?
I'll take care of that. Go ahead.
I hope this works out, Bull.
If it doesn't work out, you won't have to be afraid of shooting anymore.
Will Clark Kent fall for the trick separating him from Jimmy and Batiste? Or will he realize the fur smugglers have something up their sleeves? There's excitement in the next episode, so don't miss it.
Don't forget, tune in again for the next thrilling episode with Superman.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
Stay tuned next for The Lone Ranger.
Fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo, Silver, the Lone Ranger. With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Whenever men gathered around the campfire, stories were told of his strength and courage, his daring and resourcefulness, and these stories have come down to us through the generations. No greater champion of justice can be found in the pages of history. Return with us now to those thrilling days when the West was young. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver! We're heading for the gold country. There's going to be trouble. Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
Two men and a boy rode their burros down the rocky trail toward the valley. The men were prospectors who had failed to find pay dirt at Pike's Peak and had pushed farther north through the foothills of the Rockies. They'd been on the trail for weeks, but here at last was the type of country for which they were looking. Suddenly, a band of painted savages raced over the ridge above them. A hail of arrows descended from the heights. The men and the boy broke for cover, but before they could start firing, the redskins were on top of them. 5 minutes, it was all over. The two men lay at the side of the trail. The burros were driven ahead of the ponies, and the boy was carried away by the Indians, a prisoner.
Juanigo, Manikte.
You killed my pa! You killed him! Let me go! Let
me out! A year passed. Other prospectors in larger numbers had found the valley and fought off the Indians. The little town of Banksville had sprung up, and pay dirt had been found in many of the canyons and gulches that surrounded the valley. Late one afternoon, the Lone Ranger and Tonto rode along the edge of a deep gully toward a point where they could see the town below them.
There's the town, but we don't want to get there until after dark.
It take us that long. Trail down 4 or 5 miles to west.
What about this gully?
You ride close to the edge, you see.
Come on, Silver.
Gully not go all way down, only halfway. You watch water from creek, it make waterfall.
Steady there, boy.
You look.
Yes, I see. The gully cuts into the face of the cliff like a big V. If we followed it to the end, we'd still have to jump about 200 feet. I guess the long way round is best.
That's right.
Come on, Silver. We're hitting the back trail.
They're miners down gully.
2 of them. That outcropping looks as if it might be pay dirt.
It's bad. Miner go far from valley.
I know what you're thinking.
Kimasabi?
What?
Counter right. You look over gully.
On the other side?
Far away. Indian right this way.
Can you tell who they are?
All Indian round here. Bad Indian.
And if they reach the edge of the gully and see those 2 men below them...
Men not live long.
We'll have to get them out of there. I wonder if they can hear me. Hello!
Them look round.
But they're not looking up. We'll have to get closer to tell them what's wrong.
Maybe Silver Scout go down there.
Just ahead? We'll try it. All right, boy. We're heading down the bank. Over the edge. Steady, Silver. Steady. Now we're at the bottom. Come on, Silver.
It's a masked man and an Indian. Hey, get your rifle.
Don't go for your guns. We're friends.
We don't trust nobody that wears a mask.
There's no time to argue about it. We've come down here to warn you.
This is our property. Hightail out of here, we'll... He said warn us, Jeremy. Warn us about what?
Indians. They're heading toward the gully from the east.
You mean it?
Where are your horses?
At the entrance to the gully, half a mile from here.
And you'll have to ride with us. Here, I'll give you a hand up.
You ride as Tonto.
Can your horses make it carrying a double load?
We found a place where it isn't too steep. Come on, Silver.
Turn up, Scout.
Hi-yo, Silver! Away! Just a little farther, boy. Just a little farther. That's it. Now, come on. How's Tonto making out?
They're coming over the edge now.
These rocks will give us all the cover we need.
I can see the Indians.
Where?
They're still back away from the gully. I don't think they've seen us.
The sun's shining in their faces.
Well, that's lucky.
We're out of range of their arrows. Right here, Tonto.
Doggone, that was some climb. I never saw the like of these two horses. Except for that black I own down the panhandle.
Never mind your lies. We ain't got time to listen.
We're safe, ain't we?
Out of range, that's all. They can still come after us.
Look, they're getting off their horses.
Coming toward the edge of the gully on foot.
Yes.
Just like they expected to find somebody down there.
Perhaps they do.
Injun scout maybe bring word.
What's that?
A scout may have seen you and brought the other members of his tribe back with him.
Oh, sure going to be disappointed, ain't they?
They're looking down.
That gully ain't so wide or so deep they can't follow us.
I don't think they will unless... Tonto.
Uh-huh.
One of the Indians stayed with the horses, but he's leaving them now. He's running toward the gully to our right.
Tonto see him.
Almost there. What do you make of that?
Him boy, not man.
No, he isn't an Indian either. His hair.
It's yellow.
He's going over the edge.
He's running away from them.
They've seen him.
Then go after him.
He may be able to reach the bottom first, but he can't escape without help.
We can't do nothing from here.
I'm going down there again.
Why, they'll kill you.
You say the entrance to the gully is a half a mile to the south?
Yeah.
I'll meet the three of you there if we get away. You can show yourselves now. They've all gone over the edge. Come on, Silver. There's the boy just ahead of us, Silver. We've got to hurry. We'll have to pick him up without stopping. Get ready to jump.
Ready.
Steady, boy. Steady. Now.
Gosh, mister. I made it.
Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
What are we stopping for?
Those three men. We're waiting for them.
Oh, one of them's an Injun.
He's a friend of mine.
Oh, are you an outlaw?
What do you think?
Mister, whatever you are, it don't make any difference to me. But you don't talk like a crook. You don't act like one either.
Now, let's leave it at that. Where are your horses?
Other side of the big rock. We'll get mounted.
Injun come after you?
We left them behind.
They won't give up so quick. I better keep a watch on our back trail. There they are. Shoot, masked man. They only got one gun and just a few bullets.
Tell those prospectors to head for the valley, Tonto.
Tonto do that. Get him up, Scout.
Shoot! That stopped them. Look at them duck into the underbrush.
It's a long way back to their horses. They won't follow us.
Oh, we're safe.
Come on, Silver.
I've been with them most of the year. Today was the first time they ever let me go outside the village. I've been asking to go hunting with them for a long time, because I figured I might get a chance to run away. Gosh, you don't know what it means. Just to hear somebody besides an Indian talk and be with friends.
Do you have any other friends? Do you have any relatives?
No, they were just pawing me.
Is there any place you want to go?
Well, it don't matter to me.
We'll have to think of something.
Don't you worry none about that man. He's a likely-looking youngster. Jeremy and me will see he's took care of.
You mean that? If you're prospectors, I can help you a lot. My pa was a prospector, and I helped him.
Well, that's just fine and dandy. Shake hands with your Uncle Ezra and your Uncle Jeremy.
Oh, gosh.
How about it, Jeremy? After hearing the kid's story, I guess our own troubles don't amount to much.
Well, I was captured with Apache down in Arizona.
Hold up there a second. I'll warn you, Tommy, that everything your Uncle Jeremy says goes the opposite. If he says he was captured by Apache, most likely he never saw an Indian before today.
Oh, no such thing.
You ain't exactly lying because folks know what to expect. But don't ever start imitating him, Tommy. Someday you want to tell the truth, and nobody will believe you.
Oh, now, don't start preaching.
I just wanted to warn the boy about getting into bad habits.
You said you had troubles.
Ain't found a speck of gold in 6 months.
You mean you really struck it rich?
Yeah, what?
He sure does, mister. There's more gold in that gully than you can shake a stick. We only found it yesterday and get driven out by Indians this afternoon. Worst part of it is we had to leave our tools behind.
You can buy more, can't you?
Haven't got a cent.
Except for about $300 we washed out since yesterday. We got money, sure. But folks in town are going to wonder where we got it. There's a lot of tough hombres around, and they might follow us back here and take the claim away from us. Indians and bad men. It's a great combination.
Maybe I could take a few liberties with the truth now and then, but you talk too much all the time.
You don't have to worry about Tonto and me.
Doggone it, stranger. If you want to work that gully, you're welcome. Ain't you got no gratitude to Jeremy?
No, ain't got a speck.
Well, that's better. I sure wouldn't have liked it if you'd said yes.
We're not interested in gold, Ezra, but we would like some information.
About what?
Is there a man in town called Ranch Jordan?
Nope. Translate that for yourself, masked man. Rance moved in a couple of months ago, and now he practically runs the whole shebang.
You're sure he's there now?
No reason for him to leave.
Tonto. You'd better ride back to the marshal. Where to find him.
Marshal?
I'll stay here and make sure that he doesn't get away.
You mean to say that Rance is wanted by the law?
For a hold-up and a murder.
We'll all be dogged.
God.
I'll go now.
Get out, fellas.
Adios. We ride on into town, but don't say anything about this to anyone.
You can depend on us.
Come on, Mr. Silver.
Get up there.
What's he eating here?
Blow out that lamp.
What for?
I want to show you something outside. You can't see good with any light in here. This window over here.
Well?
Look down the street.
3 men riding this way.
Yeah. There's a boy, too. I saw him at the edge of town, and I rode here as fast as I could.
What for?
It's Jeremy and Ezra.
What about it?
And the third man's wearing a mask. And take a good look at that white horse.
Yeah.
He got a... I've seen it someplace before.
I know I have. Let's get this window open. With my gun on the table.
You ain't going to let him have it?
I'll get a good look when he passes here.
They'll hear the shot all over the town.
What if they do? He's masked. I said I thought he was an outlaw.
There's the boy riding up in front of him.
I'll get him in the back.
Now, you can see now, is it?
Yep, it's the Lone Ranger.
Come on, Silver! I think he sees you. The moonlight's hitting your gun. Shoot, Rance! Oh!
Silver!
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue our story. Half an hour after the Lone Ranger and Tonto had ridden into town with Ezra and Jeremy, the two prospectors and the boy were standing on the porch of the general store. Ezra knocked at the door and...
Cromwell, wake up, open the door.
Can't be in bed yet.
You figure we can buy the tools and supplies and head back for the Gulch tonight?
I hope to, son.
What do you boys want?
Nothing from you, Harkins.
If you want to get it inside, I'm the one who's got the keys.
What's happened to Cromwell?
He's gone prospecting. I won the store from him in a poker game last week.
We'll open the door.
No. Got to answer some questions.
We got money and we want to buy some tools.
The story's been going around that you rode into town about half hour ago with a claw.
Who said that?
Francis Jordan. Rand took a shot at him, but the masked man blasted his gun out of his hand.
We got nothing to say. If you wanted business, open up.
I figure this is a trap. After I open the door, that masked man will show up and rob the store.
He ain't anywhere around, and he ain't an outlaw.
You say you got money?
Plenty.
I don't believe it. Where'd it come from?
We got it. That's all that matters.
When you left town, you didn't have nothing but your tools and some grub. Did you find gold?
Not a speck. We got a little.
I want to look at it before I take any chances.
Well, here it is.
Open the bag up.
All right. There. Now open the door.
Door opens tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Good night, Jen.
Come back here.
Don't try busting it in or I'll fill you full of lead. Hasta mañana.
Well, a big ball.
Listen, Rance. The important thing is that Jeremy said that they hadn't found a speck of gold. That means that they've struck it rich. They wanted to buy some tools tonight and get out of town before morning, just so nobody'd follow them. Don't you see?
Any sign of the masked man?
No. Your hand's all right, ain't it?
The bullet hit the gun. We can't stay here much longer, Joe.
I know that, but if we could grab this claim of Ezra's, we could sell it for plenty. All we have to do is follow.
We need more men. Those two old buzzards are dead shots.
There's nobody else in town.
Well, we could put it up to the rest of the boys as a business proposition.
Mean we'd have to split with them.
Just leave it to me. I'm going over to the cafe. Right down, boys. I got a proposition for you. I can lead you to the richest pay dirt in the West. Me, I'm not a miner. I'd claim the land for myself. Instead, I'm going to charge $100 apiece for every man that wants to follow me. If any of you gents are interested, I'll be in my cabin. All right, Larkin, shut the door. We got 50 of them.
It's too bad you couldn't make them pay in advance.
You got a lot of wild notions. 50 men at $100 apiece, that's 5,000. It's just about all the ready money in town.
Yeah, but when they get wise that you're just following Ezra and Jeremy, maybe they won't pay at all.
They won't get wise. You're the only one who's going to follow them.
Me?
You can mark the trail. Go on now. Get over to Ezra's cabin and tell him you've changed your mind. You'll sell him anything he wants.
And after?
Don't let him out of your sight. I'll give you half an hour's start. Then I'll round up the boys and follow you.
Uncle Ezra.
Yeah, Tommy?
I got a feeling somebody's coming after us.
What makes you think that?
Oh, I don't know. It's just a feeling. There's so many turns in this trail, I can't be sure.
That's why I've been looking back.
It might be Larkins.
That's the only one it could be.
I don't trust that hombre one little bit.
Oh, we can take care of him.
But you don't want to lead him to the gulch, do you?
No. There's another turn up ahead there. As soon as we get around it, we'll pull up and wait a bit.
That's a good idea.
I sure wish that masked man was riding with us. Where'd he say he was going?
Well, Tommy, Tonto and the marshal will be coming into the valley on this trail. If Rash should try and make a break for it, he'd have to take the pass to the north. The masked man's guarding it. Oh, there, boy.
Oh, Ginger. This is a fine horse you bought me.
I only wish we didn't have to buy it from Larkins. Better keep quiet now.
It's getting light.
Yeah. Can we see that north pass from here?
As soon as the sun gets up a little.
Well, then if we run into any trouble, it's more than we can handle, we can signal to him.
To the Lone Ranger?
Smoke signals. I know how to make them.
We won't bother him unless we have to. Now, quiet. There's somebody coming. Get set.
What's the matter, Silver? Now that the sun's up, do you think we ought to get moving? Well, we might as well wait here as any place. Tonto will signal as soon as he and the marshal get to the ridge above the valley. It shouldn't be... Wait. There's smoke now. Don't get impatient, boy. It says help. But Tonto never sent that signal, and I don't believe that Ezra or Jeremy could have sent it. The boy, of course. Come on, Silver. Look, Rance. Somebody camped up ahead.
I see him.
Anywhere near the diggings?
We'll soon find out.
What's that?
Don't ask so many questions.
I begin to think you don't know where you're taking us. That's Larkins. What's the matter with him?
He's tied up.
That's Ezra and Jeremy and that boy they brought into town.
Whoa.
Get these ropes off of me.
What happened?
They waited for me around a turn in the trail back there about 100 yards. Then they jumped me and tied me up.
You fool.
What's it all about, Ezra?
What brought you up here?
Rand said he could lead us to the best diggings in all the West.
That's mighty interesting. Don't let us stop.
I suppose you paid him for it.
Well, not yet, we ain't. And I'm thinking there's something funny about the whole setup.
Well, what do you got to say to that, Rance?
You know what I was trying to do, huh?
Yep, maybe I do. You going to start digging here?
This ain't it.
All right, Rance, come clean.
Yeah, let's keep the shirts on, boys. I aimed it. But I want to talk to you where Ezra and Jeremy can't hear us.
Yeah, none of that. We've had enough of this mystery. Speak up.
Well, it's Ezra and Jeremy that know where the diggings are, but Larkins and me figured that just the two of us couldn't make them talk. I didn't want any money from you boys. I just wanted you to come along with me.
Yeah, that's it. We wanted you to back our play.
Name it.
We gotta make those stove-in galoots talk.
We'll talk.
That means we never felt less like talking in our lives.
They've struck it rich. There's enough gold in their diggings to make you all millionaires. Are you gonna let them keep it all to themselves?
No, that ain't right. How about letting us in on it?
Don't know what you mean, Bill. Jeremy and the boy and me are just sitting here minding their own business.
Think of it, man. Gold, millions of dollars worth. If you leave it to me and pay me $100 apiece, I'll get it out of them. Will you follow my orders?
Well, I don't know.
It ain't right to let them have it all.
Well, we don't know how much there is.
Hear that? Jeremy says they don't know how much. You know what that means? How about it, boys? Is it a deal?
Yeah.
Will you follow my orders?
We're with you all the way.
And grab Ezra. Get him on his horse. Bill, throw a rope over that big limb. Put the noose around his neck.
You're going to hang him.
You guessed it, Sonny. You and Jeremy, the only two that can save his life.
Uncle Ezra.
Hold your tongue, Tommy.
Grab him, men. Hoist him up.
The town was deserted, Silver. They followed Jeremy and Ezra into the hills. It means trouble. We've got to hurry. Come on, Silver. Faster, boy, faster.
Come here, son. Look at him. One lick with my quirt and his horse jumps out of the way. I don't have to tell you what happens then.
Uncle Ezra.
Don't say a word, son. I'd sooner die than see that ornery skunk get a dime.
But he won't. The marshal's on his way here to arrest him.
No, what's that?
The Lone Ranger. He's bringing the marshal.
Boys, I'll get you all covered. Stand back. Hurry up, Larkins. Make him turn the pockets out.
You heard what he said. Hand over your money.
Don't make a false move, any of you. Heard what the kid said. The marshal's after me. I'm wanted for murder. And one more killing don't make much difference to me. Hurry up there, Larkins.
Bill's got over 500.
How much you got so far?
About 1,000.
That's enough. Bring our horses over here.
Right.
We're taking the kid with us, boys. Come here.
Let go. What's the idea?
He'll make a nice shield.
Climb aboard.
Get up there, kid. Keep him covered while I'm out, Larkins.
Yeah.
Now, right on ahead. With the kid behind me, they won't have a chance to shoot.
Get up there.
Get up. Hang on, kid, or you'll break your neck.
Get my hands untied here, Jeremy.
Sure, yeah.
Well, what are the rest of you stand there for? Get into your saddles and go after him.
I don't want to tangle with an hombre like that.
Yella, huh?
He's got $500 of mine, but I'd rather have a hunkier claim.
Try and get it.
Come on, Silver.
Look, it's the masked man.
It's the Lone Ranger. Boys, how about it? Will you follow him?
Yes, sir.
Masked man. Rance and Larkins just got away. They took Tommy with them.
Then what are you waiting for? Follow me.
After the masked man, boys.
Come on, Silver. This trail's heading down.
Yeah, they cut away from the hill trail at the last fork. They're heading back for the valley.
Do they know the marshal was coming from the south?
The boy told them.
Right up here.
What for?
Look, that trail down below us. That's the same one we're on, isn't it?
Yeah, twist around.
If I go down this bank, I can cut them off.
But you can't. It's too steep.
Silver can make it. The rest of you follow the trail. Come on, Silver. Over we go. Easy, boy. Easy. Dig in there. There's a point just above the trail. If we can reach that, I can rope one of them as they come by. To the left a little. That's it. Steady now. Steady. You'll have to dig in to keep from going over. Now, boy, brace yourself. Here they come around the turn. My rope's ready. There's Larkins in front. He doesn't even see it.
Get up there, you hungry chaos.
Rein up! Back, Silver! Re-roped him, Silver. That fall will take the fight out of him. Now we're ready for Rance. We've got the boys riding behind him.
Help! Masked man, help!
I'll get him this time.
Knock the gun out of his hand, Silver. Down the bank and after them. Careful, boy. The trail's narrow. We don't want to go over that cliff. That's it. Come on, Silver. You'll have to keep to the outside. We don't want to force him over. Faster, boy, faster.
Don't you care?
He's trying to force the boy out of the saddle. Hang on, Tommy. Faster, boy. Burn the wind. Now we're catching him. If he thinks the saddle's too crowded, we'll get him out of it.
Masked man.
Watch the edge of that cliff, Silver. I'm going to jump on him. Oh! I won't use my gun, Rance. This is man to man.
You're going over that cliff.
Look out!
Back, Rance, back.
I'll show you.
Maybe this will change your mind. Oh!
Gosh, masked man. Just for a minute or two when you jumped up to your feet, I thought he was going to push you over. But when you hit him, boy, was that a wallop.
I think we'll be able to hold him until the marshal gets here.
And there's the rest of them. They're picking Larkins up.
He shouldn't be hurt badly. I pulled him into that underbrush at the side of the trail.
Oh, he's standing up all right. And here comes Uncle Ezra.
Mister, you sure taught those two hombres a lesson. Now, there's just one more thing we'd like you to do for us.
What's that?
Well, me and Jeremy want to save that claim for ourselves.
I heard that, Ezra. You can't keep it all to yourself.
I don't think you'd better, Ezra.
Huh?
Are you forgetting the Indians? You could use a little company up there.
Yeah, but
Why don't you stake a claim for yourself, a discovery, and 2 more claims? 200 feet apiece for Jeremy and Tommy. That's legal and it's fair. And it's as much ground as the 3 of you can work.
Oh, that's so, masked man. Guess I've been trying to bite off more than I can chew. But do I get first choice on those claims, Bill?
Sure thing.
Then it's settled.
There's Tonto up on the ridge. Here, Silver.
Is that the marshal with him?
Yes, hold Rance and Larkins here until he can take charge of them. Hip. I'm going up to meet him. Come on, Silver.
Were you coming back, mister?
Oh, wait. Gosh, old Hemlock. If he don't come back, Tommy, we won't get a chance to thank him.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, but come to think about it, I've heard something about that. Yep. We won't see him again until we need him. When the Lone Ranger finishes his work, he never waits for thanks.
Hello, Silver! Away!
The story you have just heard is a copyrighted feature of the Lone Ranger, Incorporated.
Stay tuned next for Double or Nothing.
The seconds are ticking away. From coast to coast, Phenomint, the chewing gum laxative, presents the fascinating game. Now then, Double or Nothing. Music by Brusilov. Your announcer, Alois Habrilla. By special wire from California, Frank Paulin. And the gentleman in charge of your questions and Phenom and Silver Dollars, the originator of Double or Nothing, Walter Thompson.
Thanks, Alois Habrilla. You know, last week I had a question about an albino pachyderm. The lady didn't answer it, and I got so excited I failed to tell the audience what it was. An albino pachyderm, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing more or less than a white elephant. The silver dollars are all stacked up, ready to drop in the cash boxes, so let's play Double or Nothing.
Well, Walter, we're all ready. A radio audience of more than 100 stations, our theater audience, and even Frank Forrest, who joins our show from way out in California this time. And now, Here is your first anxious contestant. How do you do, sir? How anxious are you?
Not very. A little bit scared right at this point.
What's your name, please?
Horn, Edwin C. Horn.
Horn, what city are you from?
I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
What do you do for a living?
Down at Montgomery Ward, the mail order advertising.
That's a good store. You get your plug in. You like to work there?
Very much so.
Good.
Great outfit.
This question is from Mrs. Valerie Kennedy of Texarkana, Arkansas. She receives $5 for sending it in. How do you describe points in jackstone? You know, like when you're on...
Onesies, twosies.
That's all right. $5 silver on the onesies and the twosies and the threesies, foursies, and there's fivesies. Now, for the next minute, Mr. Horn, you can ad-lib on the subject under discussion. While you're talking on the subject of that question, I'm going to award various amounts of Phenom silver dollars on our cash register each time you say something pertinent or informative or just plain funny. That's almost yours, but not quite, because I'm going to ask you one more question, and it's not going to be a pushover like onesies or twosies, brother.
I never said a word.
You didn't, huh? But that $5 you got in your strong box there, that's yours. I can't get it back. Okay? Go.
Well, games are played for health and relaxation.
That's worth $2.
Yeah, they're all types, indoors and outdoors.
I'll give you $1 for that.
Even parlor games, if you want to call that a game.
What kind of parlor games, Mr. Horn?
Well, you're going to narrow me down. There's checkers, chess, cards.
You're not doing what I thought, but I'll give you $2.
There's that greatest game of all, pitching that fast game of woo.
$3 on the booth.
But you usually play with two sides. I mean, there's the...
Pitching woo, I'll give you $1 for that, too.
You can start out getting up at bat in that old game of baseball, which is a advantage game.
$2 for pitching.
So DiMaggio is playing a wonderful game out there.
I'll begin in the baseball. I'll give you $1 for Joe.
But football's another game. Play with 11 men on each side.
I'd like to see some jackstoners playing football, but I'll give you $1.
Well, the little girls that get out and play jackstones are famous for hopscotch.
Time is up, sir. But you've got $13 silver to your credit. Now then, sir. Double or nothing. You know that strong box, will you? I'll hold it for you. Give you $1 back. You mentioned hopscotch just now. What is hopscotch, and illustrate?
Hopscotch is played on the sidewalk, and it starts out like this.
What are you going to do with $1? You got to throw the $1 down. That's correct, sir. Hold your strong box up. Thanks very much. 26 silver dollars. Plus the card you've already won. That's 31 of Phenom silver dollars.
Thank you very much.
All ready, Walter. This lady is your next contestant. May I have your name, please?
Monica Bryce,
Miss Wright, what city are you from?
New York.
What's your occupation?
Staff works, bundles for Britain.
Bundles for Britain. I think that's very fine. Very, very fine. How's business?
Doing very well, thank you. Had a great month so far.
Your question is from Sue Bennett of Birmingham, Alabama, who receives $5 for sending it in, and the Singleton Drug Company of the same city receives a special award. Now, before I give you the question, I'd like to point out to our listeners that they, too, can get in under the fun of Double or Nothing. Send your questions to us, and, of course, the reasonably correct answers, to Phenom Mutual Network, New York. Each question we use gets $5. All questions become the property of Double or Nothing, and if duplicates come and the first received and used on the air wins. Our judges' decisions must be final, and sometimes subjects are awarded special awards. Send your questions to Phenom Mutual Network, New York. And now here's your question from Miss Bennett of Birmingham, Alabama. To what was the term clipper applied before the transoceanic airplane?
Sailing ship.
Sailing ship. $5 silver in your strong box. If you're ready.
Well, the original sailing ships were built mostly in New England ports.
$2.
They sailed through the South Seas, to Australia,
$1.
to China.
Another $1.
They chiefly carried grain, and they obtained a reputation for very speedy work because they raced each other to see which could get the product to the market first.
$2. They also carried tea. I'll take $1.
Clipper ships nowadays are generally air clippers, airliners. There's one to Bermuda. There's a South American one. There's a transatlantic one.
That's $2 more.
Baltimore used to be the winter port for the Bermuda Clippers.
Not a buck?
The LaGuardia Field is the headquarters for most of the Clippers nowadays.
$1
All of them,
more.
I think.
Don't tell me you've run out. I can't
I
believe it.
couldn't possibly.
Oh! We ran out. 14 silver dollars to your credit. Now then, double or nothing. Near what city is Wright Field located?
Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio is correct. Hold your song box up. 28 Athenian silver dollars. Plus the 5 you've already won. That's 33 Athenian silver dollars. Good heavens. Good silver
This one
dollars.
was forbidden, I mean.
You want to give it to
Both
Button?
of them.
We'll be very glad to. You can take it with you. What you rather do?
Would you send it?
I'll be very pleased to. You can trust it. It's a pleasure. Now then, Walter, will you look this way, please? Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet our guest contestant of the evening, Mr. Vincent Lopez. Well, this is one time Lopez is going to be speaking and get paid for it every time he opens his mouth. Are you nervous?
A little bit.
You told me it's the first time you've ever done anything like this.
Right.
How's business over at the Taft Hotel?
Well, I think we hit about 800 so far tonight.
That's all right. You've already been over there.
That's right.
And you're going back as soon as you get through.
Right after this program, we do a South American program at 8:30, and then we stay there till 9:30.
You mean on shortwave, eh? And you told me one thing before we went on the air that I want to ask you, Vincent. What about this book you're writing? I never heard of a band really writing a book before.
Well, it has been done. Rudy Valley's written a book.
What is this book about?
By himself.
Oh, I see.
Well, we like to know about it, but my book is concerning predictions and subjects that I've been interested in a good many years, and the book will be out in about 6 weeks.
What's the name of it?
It's called Predictions.
You can send me a copy. I'll work up to that nicely. Here's your question. It's from Florian Zojakovsky of Birminwood, Wisconsin. He receives $5 for sending it in. How many countries are there in the Pan American Union?
21.
21 is correct. $5 silver dollars. Hold that strong box up. Mr. Lopez, you act like you're not used to collecting money. You didn't even hold it up there when I told you to. If you're ready, go ahead.
282 square million miles in the Americas.
What? $2.
11,808,000 is the population of all the Americas.
Have you been to South America?
Yes.
Uh-oh. I'll give you another $1. I can't argue. I haven't got that down here on the card.
Buenos Aires is the city of the capital of Argentina.
Two hooks.
It's the largest Spanish-speaking city in the world.
Another $1.
Panama, the point of interest there is the Panama Canal.
That's worth $2 more.
May I speak about Mexico?
That's all right. Go ahead. Have a line.
Mexico City, 5,000 miles. 5,000 miles above, 5 miles above sea level.
We got it out. I'll give you $2.
Quito is the second highest capital in the world.
Quito's capital what?
Ecuador.
$2.
Cuba is the largest island in the West Indies.
Goodness, $1.
Only $1?
Oh, no, $1.
Havana is the capital of Cuba, and the capital building was fashioned after the capital of Washington.
You've been to Cuba, too, I take it. $2 more. Whoa, $16. Do you speak Spanish?
A little bit.
I'm not going to pay for it. Double or nothing, Mr. Lopez. What two South American countries are landlocked?
Bolivia and Paraguay.
That's correct. That's all right, sir. Don't go yet. Don't go. I want to pay you off $32 silver dollars. That's the 5. That's 37 of Phenom and silver dollars. That's all right. That's probably better than you can do at the tap for 1 minute.
Well, I like to keep $2 and give the rest to the same cause as the lady.
Well, for Britain, what are you going to do with the $2?
Well, as a souvenir tonight.
Okay. Are you ready, Walter? Here is your next I thought he was saving taxi fare to get to the tap. I wondered too myself. May I have your name, please?
Eleanor Scanlon,
Miss Scanlon, what city are you from?
Litchfield Park, New Jersey.
And what's your occupation?
I'm in the radio advertising business.
Oh, you are? Well, don't shake so. You ought to be used to this by now. This question is from Mrs. Mary Downey of Nashua, New Hampshire, who receives $5. Of what animal is it said he never forgets?
Elephant.
Elephant is right. You stop telling on the audience here. $5 in your strong box. Okay.
Lots of elephants in Barnum and Bailey Circus.
$2. Can't dispute it.
I think they're the biggest animals in the world.
I'll give you $1.
There are lots of other nice animals in the circus, too. I like tigers.
I'll give you $1.
And leopards and
$1 for the leopard, $1 for the giraffe, and that's all there.
What's the name of the elephant boy?
Don't ask me. I don't know. What is his name, anyhow? Sabu? All right, $1. I'll take $1 because I knew that too.
The elephants always are in the front of the parade. They pick up things with their trunks.
$2 more.
Really,
the other
so
elephant's
that they
tail.
never forget, though.
They never forget?
They do forget.
They do forget. How do you know?
Oh, it's a long story. I wouldn't make any
Well, don't
money
do
on
that.
that.
I'll give you $1. Just believe it. Whoa! $11. Now then, double or nothing. The seat for the rider on the elephant's back is called a howdy, a howdah, or a shade. I'll tell them. Howdah? That's correct. All of that, $22 silver dollars plus 5, that's 27 Athenaman silver dollars. And I was going to sell them for you and everything. You were ahead of me.
I guess he's just too smart, Walter.
Well, now here's an item for a mental sleigh ride. Did you know that Santa Claus was a piker when it came to getting some extras out of a chimney?
I'll make those words good, chum. You can't call Santa Claus a piker and get away with it.
Oh, no offense at all to Santa Claus, Aloys. He's a smart one.
Yeah.
He only comes down the chimney. But years ago, here's what some of the ancients used to do. They'd mix hard soot from the back of the chimney with a dash of ashes and take it as a laxative. As a chaser, they took hot water mixed with stewed lard.
Oh, Shuey. Well, my tummy is doing a whirling dervish. Why, that's what I would call taking a laxative the hard way. The cure being worse than the disease.
Oh, but today some folks are still doing things the hard way, Aloys. When they could get gentle, pleasant relief with Phenament, the modern chewing gum laxative.
Yes, gentle, pleasant relief. And that, my friend, sums up the benefits of modern Phenament. But after all, when you're in need of a laxative, that's just what you want. Gentle, pleasant relief. Phenament gives it to you in chewing gum form, with a fresh taste and flavor of cool mint. Perfect for summer, you can enjoy Phenament's swell minty flavor through the hot summer months. And Phenament also brings you the benefits of chewing. Chewing Phenament helps relieve the nervous tension that so often accompanies the need for a laxative. So when you feel dull, headachy, due to the need of a laxative, get relief the modern, convenient way with modern Phenament.
Thank you, Aloys. And now at this point in our double or nothing game, our star of song, Frank Forrest, comes forth with his musical information and a favorite song. Now, Frank is still vacationing at his home in California. But we've decided to get him on the wire and ask him to sing for us anyway.
Well, Walter, isn't it amazing that in 5 or 6 seconds we can join Frank way out in California?
Yep, I wish I could really do it and jump out into that swimming pool.
Oh, Walter, you want everything.
Well, Frank Forrest, here we come. It'll take us a few seconds to slip through the wires from New York to California, but we're all waiting to hear you. Frank's song is the great favorite La Paloma, Little White Dove. In just a few seconds, Frank Forrest singing from California.
Hello, Walter. Say, I wish you could all be out here with me because the swimming is fine, the weather is wonderful, but enough of that. Since you can't be out here, I am glad to join you with the song you asked for, La Paloma, accompanied by Mr. Robert Armbruster and a quintet from his orchestra. I left my home for the rolling sea. I stand by the need of right who by God for me. And then weeping I went heart loving comes back to thee. For life on the sea, singing joyous and free. Adios, adios, come por mañana. Not so gay as we. For life on the sea, singing joyous and free. Adios, adios, come por mañana. Not so gay as we. Oh, life on the sea, joyous and free. Adios, adios, come por mañana. Not so gay as we. Oh, life on the sea, so free. Adios, adios, come por mañana. Not so gay as we. Adios. Well, there it is, Walter. It's been swell being with you, and for now, hasta luego, from Robert Umbrus and myself, which means we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Frank Forrest. It certainly is good to hear you again, even if we have to pick you up from California. We'll have the same long-distance wire working next week, so be ready to join us. Sorry to interrupt your vacation, but it was swell to have you back on our show.
Now, Walter, here is your next Phenom Silver Dollar contestant. This way, please. Waiting to try his hand at one of our listeners' questions.
You practically walk right by the microphone, answer.
Sure do.
May I have your name, please?
Taylor, Jack Taylor.
What city are you from, Mr. Taylor?
New York.
And what's your occupation?
Photography, High Williams Studio, Plug.
That's all right. What's your address?
5 East 40th.
Well, see, it was nothing but Phenom time. I mean, we don't mind. This question is from Dorothy Johnson of San Francisco, California, who receives $5 for sending it in. I want you to differentiate between cover charge and minimum charge.
The cover charge is a surcharge put on by a record just for establishing service. The minimum is the charge where you go in and take your meal and you have to eat up to a certain...
You have to eat so much. Okay. $5 right. That's strong box. Okay, Mr. Taylor, go ahead.
I hope I cover everything.
I'll give you $1 for that, too. But don't you say you cover the waterfront. I won't pay for it.
So that's just fun money.
Fun money, that's what you get.
The cover is from the French, spelled C-O-U-B-E-R-T.
That's worth $2.
Meaning tablecloth.
Don't look at me like that, Mr. I don't know any French.
And has nothing to do with the cover gag about where you say, waiter, my cocoa stove, he says, put on your hat.
$1.
That bad?
It wasn't good.
I don't know how they charge when you get under the table.
$2 for getting out of the table, okay.
And I've known men who've tried to take the tablecloth home after having paid the cover charge.
You know funny people, Mr. Taylor. $2.
That's where cover charges come from. And they wind up in the Starlight Roof rather than Tomaine Charlie's.
You mean the cover charges?
Yes.
I'll give you $1 for that. Oh, gee. $9. Hang on to your strong bucks because now it's double or nothing. What is meant by table d'hote?
Table d'hote is a meal established where you pay a fixed charge for a complete course.
That is correct, sir. Hold it up. silver dollars plus the 5 you won. That's 23 Athenaman silver dollars. You've been around eating, haven't you, Mr. Taylor?
I have to.
You can eat $23 worth now.
Now then, Walter, just take a look over my shoulder.
Look
will
over
you?
the shoulder. Boy, we've got a couple of recipients of the USO here. How do you do, gentlemen? All dressed in blue and brass and gold braid and what have you. What's your name?
Chief Yeoman Walker from Lambert, Mississippi.
And you, sir?
Chief Yeoman Desjardins from Richmond, Louisiana.
What's a yeoman?
Yeoman's a pen pusher.
A what?
A pen pusher.
Pushing what? Now, look, people in uniforms don't push pens.
Well, I'll tell you, when we came in the Navy, we saw somebody running a typewriter, and that's what I said. That's me from now on.
Oh, you're running a typewriter?
Well, if you do that, or it runs me.
You do that, too, sir?
Yes, sir. Same thing. Same business.
What for?
For a living.
Biggest employer of the world is Uncle Sam, they tell me. I don't know. What an uncle, too. What an uncle, huh?
You bet.
Well, you want to ask a question, huh?
We try.
Okay, you understand now that your question will let you both talk at the same time, if you want to. In other words, you can have double trouble. The question from Erwin Zucker of Brooklyn, who receives $5, and Charles Greenberg, his druggist, receives a special award. Where is the United States Weather Bureau headquarters?
In Washington, D.C.
That's all right. $5 in that strong box. Say, are you guys, you work in the Navy or not? I never did find out.
Yes, we're at the Navy recruiting station.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's why you pushed the pen. I was trying to figure where you typewrite on a boat. Okay, if you're ready.
On a boat, too.
Oh, you've been on a boat, too. Time for the Weather Bureau now.
The Weather Bureau was officially established in the late 90s.
And $2.
It has branch offices throughout the United States and its possession.
$2 more.
It receives reports from various possessions, and after compiling them, they are broadcast to different throughout the shipping, aircraft,
another couple,
commercial radio stations, and also for outdoor sports promoters.
That's interesting. Mike Jacobs will like that. Bell of him.
Well, contrary to public opinion, it's generally right.
It is.
It's predicted.
$3. I know who you work for. See, you scared the bosses.
It's an asset to military commanders in making preparations for troop movements and ship movements. It makes predictions as far as 2 days in advance.
Sometimes a week in advance.
Well, $2
more.
Well, the Weather Bureau has been a great help to farmers, too.
Whoa! $1 for the farmers. Right on the bell, then. 15 silver dollars. And now then, double or nothing. What is the difference between Fahrenheit and centigrade? That's on thermometers.
Well, Fahrenheit, 32 degrees.
What is centigrade?
Zero.
That is correct. That's all right, sir. $30. 30 Athenaman silver dollars, plus the 5 you've already earned. That's 35 Athenaman silver clucks.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome, sir. Ought to give you a lot of strength to do some more recruiting.
You know, in the summertime, your druggist is a mighty popular man. Into his cool store go every one of us to stock up on our summer and vacation needs. There'll be sunglasses to buy, bathing caps, remedies for the sunburn that comes, as it must to all of us, and a dozen and one other needs that make for a pleasant vacation trip. And don't forget, a pleasant holiday means feeling good. And that's why you should take along with you a convenient box of Phenomint, the modern chewing gum laxative. Then, when you feel dull and headachy due to the need of a laxative, simply take Phenomint for thorough, gentle relief, and you'll be feeling like a million again. So don't forget, put Phenomint, F-E-E-N-A-M-I-N-T, on your vacation shopping list and get it in one of the 5 generous and economical sizes that start as low as 10 cents.
Thank you, Lois. And now here's our next contestant. May I have your name, please, sir?
My name is Harold Dunn.
What city are you from, Mr. Stein?
New York.
All right, sir. Here's your question from Mrs. A. Bridgewater of Chicago, Illinois, who receives $5 for sending it in. What is a stage door Johnny?
I'm not.
You're not. I can't pay for that. What is it?
Stage door Johnny is the gentleman who hangs on the stage door, hoping some fair lady will bless him with a nod.
$5. I'll nod $5. You can nod for a minute now, sir.
Stage door Johnnies are a queer race. As a photographer, I have
You've taken lots of pictures. $2.
And waiters.
Worth to them?
That's about. I've been around stage doors and their peculiar. They send flowers, bouquets.
$1 for the bouquet.
Candy.
Another $1 for the candy.
$2 candy they send.
$2 candy. Another $1.
And,
no cheaper than those guys.
Sometimes motor cars.
Sometimes a motor car.
Put a value
What
on
kind of
that.
motor car?
Rolls Royce and Ford.
$2.
And Ford.
$1.
They take the girls out, dine them, wine them.
How much does that worth?
I never taken one out that way. I wouldn't know.
Oh, I see. Well, I'll give you $1. That'll help you next time. You go downstairs, get an orange.
And they bask in the sunshine of their beautiful smiles.
Bucks for the smile.
Good smiles.
Another $1.
And they're a funny lot in general.
They're what?
They're peculiar.
I paid for that.
Pay for that? They pay for it, too.
Oh, I chiseled me out of another $1. Go on.
And they're lucky.
Whoa. 12 bucks.
Here we go.
No, wait a minute now. Double or nothing. If you played Stage Door Johnny to the following personalities, what would you give them as a gift? Minnie, Elsie, and Greta.
Well, I give Minnie, let me start with Greta, may I?
You can start with Greta.
I give Greta a good book because she likes to be alone.
That's all right. Elsie and Minnie.
Elsie, I give a quart of milk.
You give her a quart of milk?
Because she's a famous cow.
Well, it's a funny thing to give a cow, but go on. How about Minnie?
That's right. Or some grass.
All right. How about Minnie?
Well, Minnie, I think I would give...
Quiet from the audience.
I would give her some dance music because she's a moocher.
I can't dispute that, so that's correct. Hold your strong bucks up, 24 silver dollars plus 5, 29 silver dollars. And so we must close Thieneman's chest of silver dollars until next week when we return for another session of Double or Nothing. We'll all be here again, Bruce Aloft and his music, Aloy Zabrilla, and I'll be back to award Thieneman's silver dollars. And as our special guest contestant, that star of stage, screen, and radio, Miss Gertrude Neeson. Until next week, this is Walter Compton saying goodbye to you for Thieneman's Double or Nothing show.
Now, are you ever haunted by a temperamental stomach, by that stuffy, nerved-up feeling due to excess stomach acidity? Well, then get medical relief the chewing gum way. Choose that brand new product called Choose. C-H-O-O-Z. Choose looks and tastes like your favorite chewing gum. Oh, that's right. But even more important, Choose brings you medically approved ingredients for added effectiveness, extra tastiness, with no disagreeable aftertaste. And what is more, Choose gives you quick relief, longer relief. Choose is not a laxative. Choose contains no soda. Choose is not habit-forming. So how about it, friends? When you suffer from excess stomach acidity, when gas, heartburn, or sour stomach comes your way because you've been eating too much or too quickly, drinking or smoking unwisely, simply choose. Ask your druggist for Choose. C-H-O-O-Z. Choose today. Only 10 cents. Then when you get acid indigestion blues, remember, just choose. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
That was a pretty entertaining quiz program, huh? They don't do them like that anymore, right? You know, even the average person sounded different back then. It kind of blows my mind at how different people just sounded. You notice it in their voices there on that last program, Double or Nothing. There was just a quaintness about it, I suppose. I guess that would be a good way to put it. My name is Henry Chop, and that's the way it was on July 17th and July 18th, 1941. And in a little bit, I will tell you what you can expect to hear, whether you are listening to us in the playlist, the 1941 playlist, or whether you are listening to us in the premiere. Just hang on after these two messages. If you enjoy the content of this channel, not only subscribe, but please donate to its upkeep. Because of the vintage radio, music, and films that we share, this channel does not qualify for YouTube monetization. Help motivate us to consistently post this wonderful content. We like to think that this channel is more interesting and entertaining than any other World War II channel on YouTube. Help us keep going by donating. In the expanded description section to this video, you will find two links for which to donate. One is for PayPal and the other is for a GoFundMe. If the GoFundMe link is outdated on this video, go to this channel's description or our latest video where you will find an updated link. Any little bit helps. If you love old-time radio, film, and music, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click on the bell icon to get notifications as to when a new upload will premiere. If you are interested in World War II as much as I am, check out our other channel, the World War II newspaper channel. Expand the description section to this video and you will see a link that will take you there. Now I'd suggest listening to the latest upload to decide if it's your thing. Over there you will hear the Chicago Tribune read to you for between 90 minutes to 2 hours. You will get a much more detailed look about what it was like to actually live through World War II than I can give you just by sharing radio broadcasts. You will not only hear detailed news of the big battles and historical events, you will hear trivial facts about the war. You will hear news from the United States home front from the early stages of U.S. mobilization and war protests to Pearl Harbor and the ramping up of the war machine to the final victories and reconversion. You will hear every facet of American life change forever. Now, if you are following us via the 1941 playlist, tomorrow night we are going to spotlight July 19th and 20th, 1941, and we are going to have Jungle Jim, Edgar A. Guest, the Your Hit Parade Jukebox, the Columbia Workshop, and we are going to feature two films. We are going to feature Sonny, starring Ann Nagel and Ray Bolger. And then we're going to have I Wanted Wings with Ray Milland, William Holden, and Wayne Morris. And a new star, Veronica Lake. Both of those films were playing in downtown Chicago on July 19th, 1941. So it's kind of a neat thing as we go through the years. Now, if you're following us on the premiere, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Chicago time, we will be having the cruise of the Paul Parrot, Jungle Jim, Speed Gibson of the International Secret Police, an address by Governor Happy Chandler of Kentucky. Yes, the same Happy Chandler that later became the baseball commissioner. If you've seen the movie 42, he helped integrate Major League Baseball. Then we will have Jack Haley's Log Cabin Jamboree. We are having a jamboree. And then we will have the Your Hit Parade Jukebox, and then an address by Senator Alben Barkley of Kentucky. So two addresses tomorrow, two speeches tomorrow. And since that also represents a Saturday, we are going to have two movies. We are going to have Angel, starring Marlena Dietrich and Herbert Marshall. And we are also going to have In Old Chicago, a movie near and dear to my heart, being that I am from Chicago. And this stars Tyrone Power, Alice Faye, Don Amici, and Andy Devine. So some great stuff tomorrow night. And that will air right after, both of the movie videos will air right after the radio program. So definitely come back again, no matter which way you look at it. It is going to be a wonderful night of entertainment. Until then, let's turn off this old tube radio. That's our time machine. Good night. God bless.
This changing world, this changing scene, where is it taking us? What does it mean? As long as we're certain of each other, we know we don't have to be afraid. These changing times we rise above. We have no time for them. We have our love, and love is the only thing that still remains the same through all this change.